Good evening. Thank you so much. We apologize for being a little overscheduled today, but we do have business that we have to take care of outside of being in public, and that's what we were doing. Please stand up and let's honor our flag. Thank you. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much for coming out today. This is Wednesday, May 15th. We are at the Buffalo Academy of Visual Performing Arts, and we are about to start our meeting. However, I'd like to inform you that prior to this meeting starting, we had an executive session. The board went into executive session to discuss a legal proceeding before the New York State Division of Human Rights with complaint number 1022-4590. Item number 2, matters related to the employment history and potential discipline and or dismissal of specific district employees. And 3, for the purpose of receiving legal advice. There was no action taken. We will move forward. Jennifer McCosey, please, last month we passed a resolution in regards to Native American land acknowledgement. Board Member McCosey, would you please start that off before we get into the board recognition? Thank you. You might want to stand for that.
A land acknowledgement statement by the Buffalo Board of Education. Buffalo City School District respectfully acknowledges the Haudenosaunee Confederacy on whose ancestral territory our schools were built. We honor and pay tribute to the indigenous ancestors of the land we use. We acknowledge the history, intergenerational traumas that they have endured and offer hope and opportunities for healing and reconciliation as we go forward together. One key Haudenosaunee principle is to live in peace and harmony with each other and the natural world. All life should be respected and cared for because what happens to one living thing affects all living things. We are grateful for the abundant natural resources in this land of the, I want to make sure I say this right, Haudenosaunee people and for all who work to protect these resources. We acknowledge the Haudenosaunee people as the past, present, and future caretakers of this land and water, and we are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and educate our children on this ancestral land. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent, I would like to turn this part of the meeting over to you. Dr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Board President. Before I go into our recognitions, I would just ask that we have a moment of silence in remembrance of the 10 lives that were taken on 5/14/2022, the 3 persons who were injured, and a community that was forever impacted and changed. I ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, we have some board recognitions. The first, I would like to ask Dr. Sharon Brown, who is our Chief of Student Support Services, to come forward as we honor our much revered, respected, all-high student council members for the Buffalo Public School District. Dr. Brown?
Thank you, and good evening, Dr. Williams and honorable board members. This is such an exciting time, and we're really looking forward to recognizing our Inter-High Student Council members. They are, if you could, thank you. We are so excited to recognize them. They did a phenomenal job this school year, and they exceeded all of our expectations. And so our scholars, not only did they show leadership within the council meetings, but they also showed leadership at their school level. And so again, I want to thank you so much, Superintendent Williams and honorable board members, for allowing us to create these spaces for our students to elevate their voices, to impact and to empower positive change. And so under the leadership of the amazing Director Andrea Sanders, she led this entire initiative, and she co-facilitated with Anna Clayman. She co-coordinated the meetings under the leadership of Assistant Superintendent Ornice Hill. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Director Sanders, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Greetings. Thank you, Dr. Williams and distinguished board members, for this opportunity to share some of the wonderful experiences our inter-high student council members have participated this school year. We have 56 scholars representing 10 high schools. Please direct your attention to the screen, and after viewing this brief video, it will be my pleasure to present our scholars with certificates of acknowledgement. So while this is playing, I just want to give a special thank you to Anna Clayman, who, like the co-facilitator, as well as our inter-high student council advisors from our schools. Deja Mims, who's our student board representative and also the president of the Inter-High Student Council. Aiden Hussein. Daria Zulkarnain. Gabrielle Patoli. Tess Dumboxi. Miguel Martinez. Mansarin Reem. The remaining students will have their certificates mailed to their school.
Would you like for the board members to come down and have a picture also? They can come up. They can come up on the stage?
me your name and what are your future goals and desires? Do you plan, what grade are you in, et cetera? Do you plan to be what do you want to do in life? We're going to do that. I want you guys to have your moment in the sun. What's your name?
My name is Tess. I'm a junior. My name is Tess Stoneboxy.
And where are you at?
Hutch Tech, 11th grade, junior year.
Okay. And what do you think you're going to want to aspire to be?
I want to be a fashion designer and work in the artist community.
All right, well, we can tell you already on that path. This mic is on.
My name is Miguel.
Miguel what?
Miguel Avril Martinez.
Okay. What grade?
I'm a junior at Emerson. I would like to be a neurosurgeon, or I would like to go to the engineering field.
Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. These are future leaders. Your name is?
Hi, my name is Mansoor Nareem, and I go to Emerson High School. And in the future, I want to be an ultrasound tech.
My name is Daria Zulkarnain, and I go to Olmsted. In the fall, I'm attending UB for industrial engineering.
For what was that?
For industrial engineering.
I love it.
Hello, my name is Adnan Hossein. I go to Olmsted. I'm a junior, and I'm interested in pursuing something related with business, promotions, marketing, or media.
My name is Gabby Patoli. I go to Olmsted, and I'm a senior, and I'm going to be attending UB for occupational therapy.
All right, my name is Deja Mims. I go to Olmsted. I'm a senior, and I'm going to Fayetteville State University for nursing.
Does anyone want to say anything about their experience with the Inner High this year? Did you find anything meaningful about it? I enjoyed meeting with you and talking with you when we had our conversations.
I found the Villa Marie and the drug talk we had during Villa Marie, I found it really inspiring and really, really touching to me. Because I come from Puerto Rico, and a lot of people around me were a lot of drug users, a lot of alcoholic people and drug users. I found it really inspiring because as my life around me revolved, I try to help out those people too. So just seeing it being represented, being advised with teens and stuff, I found it really well that it's being shown to us as a thing that is to be advised to and to be cared for. So I found that really inspiring to myself.
Miguel is in the house, okay, future leader. Any other? But I just want to thank each and every one of you because I did participate with them this year. And I want to also thank the staff. But our children, our students are brilliant. And I just enjoyed your ideas. We did a survey, or we did the Council of Great City Schools effort that we're doing as far as asking our children their opinion. And they gave it to us lock, stock, and barrel. And we were very impressed. And I want to thank you. I hope that this experience follows you through life. And I hope that you know that you have a friend in Buffalo Public Schools, and if you ever need us, you call us. We'll be there, okay? And good luck. Thank you. When she does her, Deja. Do you want to say anything about your experience, or you want to wait till you pull it all together? She's going to pull it all together. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our Inner High students, and I agree, this is a great opportunity to celebrate the brilliance of our future leaders. At this time, I would like to ask our Chief of Safety and Security to come forward, Barbara Lark. I didn't know that Chief Lark would be here this evening, but since she is here, I certainly want to recognize the work that she has endured here in the Buffalo Public Schools. She's retired as a very high-ranking, well-respected Buffalo Police Officer and Deputy Commissioner for the Buffalo Police Department. She joined us about a year and a half ago, and she is going to be retiring and going on to do whatever she'd like to do. You never really retire when you retire from the Buffalo Schools. Remember that. So we'll probably be calling on you. We do have something for you, but I didn't know you would be here tonight. So please stop by my office. It's very beautiful. It's on behalf of the board in recognition for the hard work that you have done for the Buffalo Schools. You know, being in charge of security is one of the hardest jobs that there is within our district. And so we want to thank you for that. And then if you have a few words that you would like to share for someone who I know you respect an awful lot.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams and the esteemed board. It has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you, for you, and to serve the students, the staff, the visitors in the city of Buffalo in my role as Chief of Security. It is an extremely difficult, challenging, and responsible position, and I really wish the best to the Buffalo School District, Buffalo Public School District, and all of you as the board who has the best interests of our students at hand. It's been a pleasure to work with the cabinet members. I really have a profound respect for educators, more than I ever did, because sometimes you just don't know until you get inside and you see what goes on. And I sat next door down the hall from my colleagues who I see work extremely hard every day, and I have a tremendous new profound respect for educators and all that you do, and I wish you all the best. And sure, you can call me if you have any questions that if I could ever help, you know, advise you all, then I certainly welcome that opportunity to do so. Director, it's been a privilege to work with you, and I do wish you all the best.
And I just need to say about Chief Lark, she's modest. She won't say it, but she stepped in at a really difficult time into this position. It was a newly created position. It was post-COVID. We were trying to get our evolved scanner systems in place. We were trying to make sure that all of our schools had school security, and so we increased staffing. We wanted to make sure that our officers were highly trained, and you stepped in at a really difficult time, and I truly do appreciate the work that you have done and the leadership that you have provided to that department. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Williams, are we going to acknowledge our...
Do you want me to, or are you going to?
No, I'm going to. I just wanted to make sure that's next on the schedule. I don't want to step out of line. Officer Diaz, could you please come up? Thank you so much. Director Wagstaff and I, on behalf of Dr. Williams and the school board and the Buffalo Public School District, we would like to honor you and just share a few things about your admirable service. In today's fast-paced world of social media and smartphones, sincere gratitude and some old-fashioned appreciation are often overlooked. For that reason tonight, I am honored to recognize one of our BPS security officers, Officer Roberto Diaz, that has exemplified what it means to be a school security officer. Officer Roberto Diaz, who is assigned to PS 207 Lafayette International, works day in and day out to help keep BPS students, staff, and visitors safe. His quick actions, fearlessness, and headedness often creates and maintains a positive and safety learning environment for everyone, while diffusing or preventing potential altercations. Again, because of Officer Diaz's fine work, he is a shining example of the types of BPS security officers we strive to have working in our schools. Please help me in recognizing Officer Roberto Diaz.
Hello, everyone. If I could just say in short, really what Chief Lark just said. Officer Diaz has been with us for 24 years, okay? 24 years at the Lafayette High School, my alumni, and he has held it down for 24 years. I believe on a date, it was about a month ago. I was on the way to work. I get a call. Student stabbed at Lafayette. Anyway, he protected the life of a student with his quick actions. Now, it was not inside the school, it was outside the school. But everyone knew when they seen or heard trouble was happening near the school, who to go get. Someone who's been there for 24 years. Now, one thing about Officer Diaz, he don't say much, but he do much. And once again, if we can all applaud him. Thank you very much.
We'd like to get a picture. You want to come up?
Right. Go up.
Excuse me, it's 25 years. 1 year he wasn't termed.
Okay, now I have one final recognition. Through its programming, advocacy, and activities, the New York State School Boards Association supports school boards in their efforts to promote student success and help all students realize their potential. The Board Excellence Recognition Program of NYSBA recognizes the significant time and work that school board members put into expanding their skills and educational expertise in order to provide better board governance. To achieve this recognition, points are awarded to NYSBA members who attend training events such as the annual convention and regional workshops, as well as who assume board-related responsibilities. As a result, it's an honor for me to recognize and present the NYSBA Awards to several of our board members tonight. Please hold your applause until the end. The first recognition will go to Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, who was awarded the Board Mastery Award for her participation in leadership development opportunities. I will pass this down. Next is the Honorable Terrence Hurd, who earned the Board Achievement Award for his participation in leadership development training. The Honorable Cindy McKecken earned the Board Achievement Award for her participation in leadership development training. I couldn't see you. And finally, and certainly not least, the Honorable Lawrence Scott was awarded the Board Excellence Award for his participation in leadership development opportunities. Let us now extend a hearty round of applause to these board members in recognition of their dedication to the Buffalo Public Schools and above all, to our students and families. Thank you.
So not only are you good looking, you're smart too. Okay. Is that your update at this point? Okay, thank you. So we're going to move forward. Board members, may I have your permission to change our consent agenda just briefly to involve 3 resolutions that we need to address, and then we will go into our speakers, and we appreciate their patience with us. The first resolution, and this must be the season for board members providing resources. Last month, I provided a $500 resource for our students who were, in February, who wore the hijab. And we had 5 checks that were distributed to them, and I was very proud to do that. This month, we have a donation, and I will allow Board Member Woods to read it. And may I have a motion to, well, go ahead and read it first, then we'll do our motion. Honorable Board Member Woods.
Resolution to accept donations of equipment to Hutch Tech Central Technical High School and Buffalo Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts. Whereas the Hutch Tech Central High School, hereafter Hutchinson Tech Central High School, hereafter called Hutch Tech, is Buffalo's premier computer and engineering school and home of the Junior ROTC unit. And whereas the American Legion Jesse Clipper Post 430 under Commander Howard Patton and past Commander Paulette Woods is donating 11 new laptops to the Hutch Tech computer class under Mr. Hutch and in consultation with the district. And whereas this donation will enable the students to compete in the Buffalo Public Schools STEAM Showcase and participate in the NASA App Challenge team. These laptops will also be used in a computer class designed to provide hands-on training in various aspects of computing. The students will learn essential skills such as programming, software development, data analysis, and digital literacy. These mobile laptops enable the students flexibility to allow the courses to be conducted from different locations. It also facilitates access to technology and practical learning experiences. The students can engage in interactive activities, collaborative projects, and apply the theoretical knowledge in real-world scenarios on these mobile laptops. This setup promotes dynamic learning, dynamic learning environment tailored to meet the demands of today's modern computer education. The cost of the laptops donated is $5,000. Also, whereas Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts, hereafter BAVAP, is Buffalo's premier performing arts school, the American Legion Jesse Clipper Post and under Commander Howard Patton and past Commander Paulette Woods is donating the sum of $3,000 to the Drama Club account to fund the purchase of 8 new microphones for their performances. So therefore be it resolved that the Buffalo Board of Education accepts These donations from the American Legion Jesse Clipper Post 430 in support of our students. That's the reso.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the resolution? I see Cindy, I see Jennifer. Is there any discussion? Excuse me, I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye, okay. Thank you, everyone. Are there any discussions in regards to this? Mr. Hurd?
Yes, Paulette, is a wonderful resolution, a wonderful gift that you're giving to the Hutch Tech School, and thank you for your awardship that you're giving to these children in this district. So keep doing great work, and I thank you personally. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. All right, can we take a vote?
Point of order, is there a motion?
I thought we did the motion. Okay, may I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented? We did that already.
I apologize, I believed you had moved it up, and this was to
Yeah.
accept.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this acceptance is that we changed the agenda, and we are voting now at this point to accept the resolution. Thank you for pointing that out. Order. All right. Can we accept the vote to accept the resolution? Can we do it as a group, or you want to do it individually?
For a resolution, we can do it individually, if that's okay.
All right.
Okay. Vice President Evans-Brown? Yes. Board Member Hurd?
Yes.
Board Member McKecken? Yes. Board Member McCosey? Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you. Board Member Shuta? Yes. Board Member, Vice President Scott?
Yes.
Board Member Woods?
Certainly. Thank the American Legion.
And President Belton-Cotman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The resolution passes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to also point out that we have an additional resolution that is being tabled today. It will move forward in June. However, we would like to acknowledge Dr. Tracy Michelle Lewis of School 82, and her request is to change the name of her school, and we want to acknowledge her for the work that she has done in honor of the late Mr. Ronald Peoples. This resolution will be read in its entirety next month. Mrs. Lewis, you are here. We appreciate the work that you're doing. You have turned that school around, and now you are changing the name, and we are very proud of you. Is there anything you'd like to share with the board tonight? Yes, okay. We're not voting on that today. We're voting on it next month. And I hope next month, and you can give Monica the heads up, okay? We hope to see her next month.
Good evening to the esteemed honorable board members. I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. With me, I have Miss Monique Funderburg, who also serves as a social worker and our guardian of equity at ECC School 82. We are honored to have this opportunity to change the school's name and name the school after a person that is so deserving and has dedicated his life to children and our young scholars. So thank you so much, and we look forward to the opportunity of continuing the resolution next month.
Thank you. Mr. Peoples would be honored. And finally, in regards to resolutions, in the board package, there's a resolution that we need to address something. Mr. Scott, would you address that for us today? Vice President Scott is going to speak about it.
Yes, before I do that, can I just move to excuse board member Dr. Rivera?
So moved.
We need a second? All right. Yes, I'd like to move that we table board resolutions under 26, that are 26C and D regarding Westminster Charter School and Enterprise Charter School, that those both be tabled this evening.
And your reason for tabling?
That we need more time to discuss and revise the resolutions.
Okay, Board, you have heard the request of our Vice President to table this resolution until further notice. May I have a motion to do so? I see two over here. This time we'll go over here. Next time I'll go over here. We have Cindy and Paulette Woods, honorable board members. Motion to accept. All in favor? Are there any ones who oppose? Okay, thank you. We got through that. Sometimes my blood sugar gets a little low when I haven't eaten, and today is starting to show it. It's okay. I'm not eating. I'll put something in my mouth in a minute. All right, so we have to move forward. Our comments to our speakers. At this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speaker remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers, including persons from throughout Western New York, including children, the board are watching this meeting. The board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Ed about issues that serve the public interest and district's mission, and that the board asks the speakers to demonstrate appropriate decorum. Our first speaker today is Mother Betty Prude.
I just really want you all to get some teachers from Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana.
Hold on one moment. One moment, Mother Prude.
Okay.
There we go. Now speak.
Oh, I would like y'all to get some teachers from Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Get more teachers, huh? That's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Gaynor, President of Buffalo Reuse and Buffalo East Side Parkways Coalition. His comment is in regards to Kensington Expressway project and the implications for health and science magnet school. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams and honorable board members. My name is Mike Gaynor, and the next 8 speakers that you're going to hear from tonight all represent a coalition that was assembled last summer called the East Side Parkways Coalition in response to the New York State DOT's DDREA that was released in September at a hearing that was presented at the Science Museum right in the backyard of your own science magnet school. Many of us have taken interest in particular because of our concerns about a high-speed expressway in an inner-city environment with close proximity to schools, churches, and residents. And a lot of our analysis and research has been focused on the air quality. My purpose here tonight is just to give you a little bit of an overview as to where this process is currently and the work that we have done over the last 12 months to educate and inform people of the community about the implications of this tunnel on the east side of Buffalo, particularly as it relates to the 4 public schools that are in very close proximity to the tunnel, specifically the Drew Magnet School, Charles Drew Magnet School, PS 45 at MLK, School 74 Hamlin Park School, and also PS 53 at Winslow and Wohlers. My name is Michael Gaynor. I've been living on Northampton Street here. I've started organizations here and run businesses here. And I'm raising my daughter here. And that's why this issue has a particular focus and interest for me. I know of the work that had been completed prior to my getting involved in this issue, specifically as related to the Restore Community Coalition. And actually, before I got involved, I spoke with one member in particular who just most recently passed, Stephanie Barber Jeter, who I'm sure many of you know, who was a hero of mine and also a mentor and a friend. And I specifically asked her about the air quality as it pertained to the tunnel, because as you'll learn probably from these speakers, is that there are no mitigating, there are very few mitigating impacts for the pollution. Essentially, what's going to happen is all of the The exhaust is going to be pushed out either end of the tunnel into what the DOT has referred to as plumes of exhaust that will be at the portal ends of the tunnel at Sydney and Dodge, and also at Sydney Street and at Dodge Street, which is in direct proximity, approximately 1,000 feet from those 4 public schools I mentioned. So we have a couple studies here that we brought tonight. We also have some FAQs to answer your questions, and we really, encourage the board to learn more about this issue. We have a pending lawsuit against the DOT that'll probably be released in June, because what we're all advocating for is full restoration of the parkway. Ms. Grant?
Thank you. Next speaker is Honorable Betty Jean Grant, concerned citizen, Kensington Expressway Project, followed by Larry Gottesman, concerned citizen, followed by Sherry Sherrill. Thank you.
Good evening, honorable board members. Good evening, our beloved superintendent. I listen to you every Saturday on the Buffalo radio, and that is something that a superintendent has not done before, and is very needed because your connection to the community when you start your job was those community meetings, and via the radio you're still doing that. So I commend you, and I'm just so happy that you are in this position. I'm here because as a former board member, I know the responsibility we have to make sure our children are safe, not just in their homes, and in school, but in their homes as well. That's why I believe that groups like Head Start that do home visits is very important, and I'm hoping that the Buffalo Board of Education would do that as I started to implement when I was school board member in 2003. But I'm here today for another reason. I'm here today because children on Humboldt Parkway and the Kensington Expressway, they go to Buffalo Public Schools. As Michael said, they're harmed at school by the admission and also at home because they live right on the Humboldt Parkway. There are approximately 200 houses that's in that target area to be put a tunnel in. There's about 250 homes if you go the full Humboldt Parkway. And no one has gone to those homes and saw how many children are sick, how many have asthma, why they have asthma. So you have a project that's going to be implemented without a health assessment of children who go to Buffalo Public School who might go to one of those 4 schools and be impacted. And then they come home and be double impacted. But I am now currently on the board of trustees of the Buffalo Science Academy Charter School. And we just recently purchased a campus, the Madai campus, where we're going to have our high school. And I'm honored that the board of trustees allowed me to name the school, this nickname, and I chose Buff Sci at Madai. A little catchy rhyme there. So I'm proud to be a member. I've been a member 5 years, and I know that children at Buff Sci Madai are going to be protected from the emission because they're getting rid of the expressway. The Scajappa at 198 is going to be removed. That's going to be a boulevard. This campus of Buff Sci is right at Parkside and Humboldt Parkway. So I'm not worried about my students who I represent on the Board of Trustees because they're going to be protected. But I'm worried about my friends' children, my neighbors' children, my relatives' children. I have a brother-in-law who lives at Brunswick Humboldt Parkway. His mother-in-law is sick, he's sick. His child has asthma, and her daughter has asthma. There needs to be a study to see the implication of what has happened with that expressway being there for the last 70 years. And we have to think hard, do we want a tunnel that's going to be in the area forever, and those children are going to be forever impacted about the emissions coming from the expressway? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Betty Jean Grant. She dropped the mic. That's Betty. Next, Larry Gottesman, concerned citizen, and then Sherry Sherrill.
Good. I'm glad you got Sherry back in there. Thank you, school board, and for allowing me to speak here today and your attention. I'm a bit of vamping here because I had a different angle, but there are so many of us here, I'm going to take a different theme, which is more of a personal one. And it does relate to the health issue, which is the small particulates, which is something I only learned about really just about 10, 15 years, the health hazards of very small particulate pollution, how it gets lodged deep inside the lungs and can manifest itself in very many different variety of health effects: stroke, heart attack, COPD. Some are obvious, but it was I was gobsmacked to find out that it would accelerate stroke and even cardiovascular disease. And this has come to the forefront, and the American Heart Association, you'll hear more about this, has embraced this, and there are studies that demonstrate this. So this is pretty new material, by and large. My own attachment to those areas is we came to this area in the turn of this new millennia, if you will, to my better half is a speech-language pathologist, just retired this year. And she would treat stroke patients who had aphasia when they lose the ability to communicate. So she's more than familiar with, the cause, not so much the causes, but the aftermath of what the debilitative issues that happen when you're trying to recover from these kind of diseases. My own personal is my father suffered from COPD. So these are all lung-related or small particle-related diseases can be one of their sources. I also encountered it at Parkside Association. I was volunteering over there. They got to my attention through another member of our traffic committee. He lived right along Humboldt Parkway, right off of Parkside. And he found research, again, back in this 15, 20 year ago period, that was revealing that there were these small particulates, and people living near highway corridors like his were very susceptible and getting ill from that. So I hope the school board will take this and consider this and make it part of their objective as to how they will protect the students who live near these areas. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gottesman. I also met Mr. Gottesman. He was working with us with the opportunity to put a multi-sports complex together for us as well. Sherry Sherrill.
Yes.
Good day, Miss Sherry Sherrill.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak before this honorable body. And hello to everyone, and I know your students have gone, but congratulations to all of them. I'm a student that graduated from Performing Arts when it was down on Clinton Street, so I just felt an immense amount of pride that they were being celebrated here in the fashion in which they were. I'm here to talk about a little bit about what has already gone ahead of me, but I'm speaking as an adjunct as well of Eastside Parkways Coalition because I have a consulting company called Covington Associates Consulting. And I'm just going to drive home in the few minutes that I have left, 2 minutes and 13 seconds, exactly what it was that everyone else has said. Since there's been a lack of political will to protect people against the hazards that are known to emanate from living in close proximity or working or retiring or recreating or attending school or going to church or shopping near an expressway. What we're here to do is to ask the Buffalo Public School Board to please do everything that you can do that is within your power to protect your students. We know that you love them. We know that you value them from everything that we've seen that's happened, not just here tonight, but all down and throughout the year, and especially since this superintendent has joined on board. I'm so glad that you're here too, madam. I want to tell you that in the U.S. state of California, the 500 feet buffer that the New York State Department of Transportation is extolling here as if it's some type of panacea is not the be-all, end-all solution that is being pretended to be. In the U.S. state of California, and we are no less smart and intelligent than folks are out there, it is 1,000 feet that has been the guideline for at least the 10 years leading into this 2017 article that was printed by the Los Angeles Angeles Times titled, LA keeps building near freeways even though living there makes people sick. A Spanish study found that students who attend school within 500 feet of a highway have lower cognitive development. So we know that what we are saying to you is not a pie in the sky. We're not wishing, we're not thinking, we're not conjecturing. We're telling you what studies have proven. So what I'm going to recommend is what I've seen recommended, is that an air quality study be done on those schools that are within proximate distance to the Kensington Expressway, and starting now before the building starts and all throughout the construction period, and that those children who attend Charles Drew Science Magnet School especially, which is only 364 feet away, limit the amount of time they spend outdoors, especially early in the morning and late into the evenings, because that's when pollution is worst. Thank you for this time. And good luck.
Thank you. Next, we have Morgan Baker, and followed by her would be Terry Robinson.
Hello, my name is Morgan Baker. I'm a resident of the city, and I'm here today as a resident. As you're aware, as educators and those in charge of Buffalo's schools, New York State's social studies frameworks requires that students learn how to evaluate the quality of sources, how to cite specific textual evidence to support conclusions, and how to use this evidence to assess the trustworthiness of others' claims. According to the civics standards specifically, students are also, by the time they graduate, supposed to have a working knowledge of how our government works. The standards mention voting, of course, but they also mention civic participation, activism, volunteering, and other non-electoral ways of participating in state government. I'd like to share some insights gleaned from my own recent experience in civic participation, and I hope that this will help Buffalo's educators prepare this next generation of students for challenges like the one we face at present, specifically with regard to the expressway and the proposed cap. So as some context, both federal and state environmental law require that state agencies perform an environmental assessment prior to embarking on projects like the proposed partial cap. An environmental assessment is, in brief, a research paper that outlines the potential impacts of a proposed project on the human environment. The law specifies that EAs must meet standards of professional and scientific integrity, and so as we know, like any research paper, claims must be supported with evidence. Moreover, it is not sufficient for evidence to be merely present. It has to be related to the claim being asserted. Upon review, I and others, including a local transportation engineer, have found glaring omissions and misrepresentations of evidence contained within NISDOT's environmental assessment for the Kensington Expressway project. Had I turned in the EA as a final paper for a class, I likely would have received a failing grade and citations for failing to cite sources and misrepresentation. So I'm happy to elaborate, but I'll skip the details now for brevity. Learning from the examples of our elders, our students might be justified in asking, what is it, what use is it to learn to cite our sources when apparently no one in the real world is checking? What good is school if in the real world rules of basic academic integrity don't apply? Why bother speaking up? Why bother participating? It's no wonder that our students, our young people, our future leaders, like we saw today, often seem to be more disengaged than ever. In New York State, all students are also taught the social contract, that government is a function of the consent of the governed, and that this is the foundation of American democracy. Without honesty, truth, and integrity, the social contract is broken, and we cannot honestly ask why we're seeing such issues with our youth. And they're listening. They notice adults. They see our willingness to gamble not only with their education, but their health and their futures. They see how we bulldoze over opportunities to preserve our shared cultural heritage, all to save $1 million or to a few minutes off the commute or to push a project through to be able to say they did something. I am privileged enough to have attended Yale University. Others are not as privileged. They are not taught necessarily that their ideas matter. So I hope that you do everything you can to promote civic engagement among our students so that we're fact-checking our leaders. And I ask you, with respect, to continue teaching our students to read, to ask good questions, and to dissent when necessary to keep our community happy, safe, healthy, and free, because it is truly a matter of life and death. Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, welcome.
Good afternoon, Honorable Superintendent and Honorable Board members. It was my intention to speak about one specific school, School 74, because I go way back with that when I used to travel to St. Francis de Sales, and all of my colleagues went to nearby schools. But my focus on what I was speaking actually shifted by the initial resolution of this board and by something else that I found earlier today. And School 74 is located on the shores of the Skagakota Creek. And so the recognition of the Haudenosaunee and their heritage really brought that home, because that Skagakota Creek, which they are on the border of, I wonder how many of them are aware of the historical nature of that, not only as the pathway of the original European settlers, but and fur trappers, etc., but also the Haudenosaunee, and then as that last piece of sacred ground of the 3 miles that led to what is now called Freedom Park, Broderick Park, and its record as a trail for the Underground Railroad. Also, that on the other side of the expressway is the Faith Missionary Baptist Church, which was sold by the Jewish congregation of Temple Beth David to Faith Missionary Baptist Church, and Martin Luther King Jr. spoke there in 1958. And Dr. Lydia Wright's home on Humboldt Parkway, which is the Lydia Wright School of Excellence, named after, also within the plume of this thing. And the Humboldt Memorial Baptist Church, which was where the congregation of the Michigan Street Baptist Church transferred to. And at the foot of the Skagakota, where the Niagara movement began. And all of these things, including further down the parkway where we had the assassination of an American president, where we had the first transmission of energy, all of these things, the historic context that is missing, and that these children probably have been deprived of and have little or no knowledge of, including Bob Lanier playing at the Maston Park Boys Club, and the First Lady on the cover of Vogue, Beverly Johnson, around the corner there. The erasure of that history continues because of the Route 33. And I think that this board has been, unfortunately, excluded from discussion of the historic opportunities and the effect on their students, and they should have been included in the initial discussion of what this magnitude of a project has, not only for School 74, but the other schools. And I think that they must be included in any further discussion of whatever is going to happen in regard to that project.
Thank you. Marsha Lambiano, concerned citizen, exhaust from Route 33. Did I say your last name right, ma'am?
Ladiani, yes.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for allowing us to speak. I am a 35-year resident of Humboldt Parkway, over 35 years, and I also worked at the Department of Environmental Conservation for 33 years. 29 years of that were in air pollution. And I am also a member of the East Side Parkways Coalition. I reviewed the design report and environmental assessment that the DOT published, and I had many grave concerns. And one of those concerns was how the students at the schools in directly downwind of the plume were going to be exposed to concentrated amounts of air pollutants. Now, when the DOT did their design report and environmental assessment, they looked at 3 pollutants. That's it: carbon monoxide, PM2.5, and PM10. Meanwhile, there are hundreds of pollutants in tailpipe exhaust, including really harmful air toxics such as 1,3-butadiene, acrolein, acetaldehyde, formaldehyde, naphthalene, benzene, and a whole host of really toxic air pollutants and ultrafine particles. So all of these things, the cumulative effect of all of these cause sickness, and especially the PM2.5 and ultrafines, which penetrate the the lungs get into the bloodstream and access your cells and organs, causing cancer, asthma, heart disease. But what happens to children is they cause learning disabilities and behavioral problems, which is not something we want for our children. So, if the DOT had conducted a proper study, they would have done an environmental impact statement, which requires you to look at the cumulative effects of a project, past, present, and future, and that would include air pollution. So if they had done it properly, they would have measured the air pollutants, they would have looked at that, how that would affect human health, and they would have come out with, the outcome would have been, this isn't a good idea. So what we're calling for is the restoration of Humboldt Parkway so that we would have a real park with mature trees that actually clean the air. They utilize the air pollutants, they produce oxygen through photosynthesis, and they provide a walkable environment and a place for the children to, have a garden, grow vegetables, do things like that. And so we're calling for the full restoration of Humboldt Parkway and not through scrawny trees planted on top of 3 feet of soil, on top of concrete that are not going to survive and provide any kind of protection from the air pollution, which the DOT claims that they will. And on top of that, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Very informative. Constance Strothers, concerned citizen.
Good evening, Board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I am a Eastside Preservation Specialist for Preservation Buffalo Niagara. I run a $5 million program for the state to stabilize commercial mixed-use buildings on the east side quarter of Buffalo, New York. Predominantly, most of my buildings are on Jefferson Avenue in the Jefferson District, as well as in Hamlin Park and Fillmore Broadway. And these buildings are at least 50 years old. Nacho Potato, sorry, Nacho. These buildings are at least 50 plus years old, and they have not had the opportunity to evolve financially and support the programs they wish to put into these buildings. So with a $150,000 grant that's coming through my program to help stabilize the envelope of the building, to give the property owner the opportunity to stabilize the building and move forward with the interior design of their programs to create restaurants and a variety of different social programs and things for children as well as adults in the community is imperatively important. We are all familiar with redlining. It does still exist. It may not be as blatantly obvious, but it does still exist. And the idea of having our program support these commercial mixed-use buildings along the Jefferson corridor, when you take away the on-ramps and off-ramps that are scheduled to be removed in this process of this particular project, you will continue to feed into the redlining because the corridors will not have the traffic moving through the corridor to support the businesses. And if there's no activity in the districts where there are commercial new businesses and existing businesses, how will they survive? How will they thrive? Generation wealth cannot continue in the families if they own these properties and they've owned them for years and they can't get small loans because the interest rates are so high, because they want them to apply for loans that exceed what they need to flourish their business. The idea still exists as redlining. So the idea of having this state program that's only been in existence since 2021, it's going into its 4th year. And if we lose this program, the idea of not having any businesses that can't flourish and continue to feed and produce economic development in the district, that is going to be a major problem from not just for the children coming in the future, but the existing residents as well as the other commercial businesses surrounding them. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kevin Dayashamai, or is it help me say that name, young man.
Kevin Daishimie.
Kevin
Daishimie.
Dayashima. Okay.
Daishimie.
Daishimie.
Close enough, close enough. All right. So I'm here as a member of the Eastside Parkways Coalition and as a senior at City Honor School, a brother of someone who goes to Makowski, a member of the Broadway Fillmore neighborhood, and just someone who's concerned about what's going on with the project. So I went to Makowski too when I was little, and I think everyone here knows that the levels of asthma in our youth is very high compared to the rest of the state, the rest of the country. I knew so many kids that had problems breathing, even in gym class, even just walking around and playing in school. And I can't imagine how much worse that might get because of the tunnel that's going to spew out more emissions, more pollutants, right less than a mile from that school. So I came here because first I went to the DOT meetings this September, and I found that they didn't really care about what the students and what the teachers and what the parents of the community thought about the tunnel. It was kind of set up similar to this. We would just go up, ask our questions, make statements, but they wouldn't respond to anyone in the crowd. And I'm asking here that the board, the superintendent, and Buffalo Public Schools actually responds to the community as opposed to the DOT and our other elected officials that have remained silent to this issue. It's something that I care about a lot, and I don't want to leave Buffalo knowing that I didn't do something and I didn't make a difference in relation to this project. So what I really want everyone here to think about is the future of our city, the future of our students. We simply can't make this mistake that will last 60 years down the line and will continue to poison the children in our classrooms, continue to poison the children at home, when they're walking home, when they're walking to school, when they're on the bus. I really implore everyone to say something and make their opinions heard. Even if I don't agree with them, even if you don't agree with me, I really wish for there to be a dialogue about what's going on in our city. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have Marcos Ayala. Did I say it right, Marcos? Student safety. Then we have Antonio. And then we have Alejandro. We have Diana. And then we have Mama Bear, Melina Fisher. This young man is no stranger to us. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Marcos. I came to you last month asking for help because my school is not safe. I feel like nobody listened to me. Since my speech last month, teachers was hurt. A hello fellow classmate, as last week I was assaulted. Who is going to help us? My teacher did nothing to help me. My school did not follow the ERP plan. It took another student stepping in to keep me safe. If teachers won't help us and schools are not following ERP plans, then who is going to keep me safe? When is someone going to help us?
Next we have Antonio.
Hello, my name is Antonio. My brother asked for help last month and no one listened. My twin brother was assaulted. What makes me most scared is no one helped him but another student. It made me crying thinking how scared my twin must have been. No adult helping him. Can anyone please help keep my twin safe? My twin and I go to different schools because he needs some extra help. I feel like I failed my brother because I was not there to protect him. Can you please send help to my brother's school? Thank you for your time this evening.
My apology, Antonio. I'm listening to you. Trust me, I was in the meeting the other day. Alejandro, is that the big brother who wanted to be there? Okay. School number 17, Pride.
Hello, my name is Alejandro. Today I will be talking about how good School 17 is. Personally, I think it's amazing because my teachers are giving me the knowledge I need to succeed. My principal, Mrs. Giacchini, is amazing because she is making sure we are doing the right thing. Mrs. Berry, my assistant principal, is amazing because the day after an assembly, she tells us, make sure you shower tonight. Before the New York State test, Miss Giacchini and Mrs. Berry set up a parade for 3rd graders and 4th graders, and me and my friends wondered which grade out of pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade was the loudest grade. The parade was so fun for us. My school has great events for our families. My teacher is my favorite teacher. She is kind, loving, and she cares about me. We are having a school carnival in June. I hope all can come and see my great school.
Thank you. Deanna? Did Deanna speak before? This is your first time. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Deanna, and I will be talking about how good my school is. My teachers are so nice, and the principal and the assistant principal are so nice too. They help me if I have trouble at school, and my teachers help me too if I get an answer wrong, and they guide me through it. And they are trusted adults to me. And my mom is the pilot of School 17, and I am thankful about that. When she comes to my school to help out, she gets to sit with me and help. I really like that my school lets us earn money loot for good behavior to spend at the store. I love that family activities that my school does. These are always fun to do. My school has fun family activities. Last night was multicultural night, and I was in the African drum group. This was a very proud time for me. I wish all schools were like School 17. We are having a dunk booth at the carnival in June, and we need 3 of you to volunteer. So who is coming to my school?
Who could say no to that? Melina Fisher, parent, concerned citizen, school safety, and school number 17, Pride.
I'm Melina. I'm sure you guys know who I am. So I've been here a couple of times. My son spoke last month and he asked for help. And, you know, he was placated and thank you for coming, but nothing was done. 2 days after his speech, his own classroom teacher was assaulted. A week after that, another classmate was jumped. And last week, Marcos was assaulted, unprovoked. An image I will never get out of my head as a parent is a classroom teacher, somebody that I, as a parent, rely to keep my child safe, sat there and watched my child be assaulted. And the only thing she did was pick up a phone and call security. And it took another child pinning down this child until security arrived to keep him from attacking my son. I called Rich Nigro because I understand that the directive is not out of this district. That directive is out of the teachers' union. So if the teachers' union is going to direct its teachers not to keep our children safe, and then the schools are not going to follow the ERP plans, who's keeping him safe? Who's going to keep him safe? Because this is the baby guy I brought into the world that didn't breathe for 2 minutes. And I will be danged if the person that takes him out is the person that he spends the most waking moments of his day with. And I need to know that he's safe, because if I mess up and he gets hurt and he has to go to the hospital, 2 things are happening. I'm going to jail, and they're taking all my babies. So I need to know how this doesn't apply to our schools. And I need to know who's responsible for keeping them safe if the teachers aren't going to. Because how am I supposed to send these 4 precious babies to your schools if nobody's going to keep them safe? And I thank God that 2 of them go to an amazing school that I know that their administrators would lay down their own lives to save them. But what about the other ones? Because who's going to protect them? Because I'm telling you, it sure wasn't his teacher.
Khadijah Hassan, parent on wellness. Thank you, Fisher family. The superintendent will respond at the end of the comments. Welcome, Khadijah.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent and Board. My name is Khadijah Hussein, and I am a proud parent of a Buffalo Public School student. Today, I'd like to speak about the importance of supporting and listening to the students and parents, and encourage Buffalo Public School District to take the approach of more inclusivity, community, and cultural responsiveness. This approach reflects a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it sends a powerful message that our children and their families are valued and included. Although I am thankful for the district effort and support that has already been put in place for our parents and students, I do believe that there is still more work to be done. During last month's Board of Ed meeting, parents have asked for the wellness policy revision to not be finalized without parents reviewing it and giving input, yet we still move forward and finalize it. As parents, we simply want to be included in the decision-making process that greatly affects our children. By collaborating together, we have the opportunity to accomplish more than when we work individually. This can also help us consider various viewpoints and make choices that benefit those that we are serving. I'm sorry. Where was I? Yes, it's for those that we are serving. And speaking about inclusivity, it is disheartening to hear that after 9 years of advocating for the recognition and inclusion of EAT in our district, there has been little progress or discussion on this matter. It is important for schools to be inclusive of diverse celebration to create a supportive and welcoming environment for all our students and families. Continuing to advocate and engage in collaborative dialogues with school officials may help raise awareness and push for the consideration of EAT in the school calendar. Our persistence and dedication to this cause are commendable and hopeful. With continued effort, positive changes could be made towards greater inclusivity in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Khadijah. Next speaker, Socrates Sudai. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello, my name is Sarti Suri. I am a student today. I would like to speak about a situation that happened to me that could have been easily avoided. About 2 weeks ago, I had to sit in ISS for 2 full school days without a laptop or anything to help me do my work, all because I didn't know I had a parent-teacher conference that was mandatory and none of my parents showed. The school did not inform my parents or I about it, therefore my parents never came. I was very confused and ended up asking the ISS staff if he knew the reason why I was in there. His response was that he did not know, and that would be something I had to speak with the principal about. Unfortunately, the principal was out for a week, and the administrator said that I couldn't come without a parent the following day, but my mother couldn't come to the school with me, so I ended up coming alone like usual. Before I got the chance to explain why I was in school, the staff that I encountered, he decided to start yelling at me and threatened that he would call the police on me for trespassing. He also told me that the police will take me to East Ferry, where my parents will have to pick me up from. The assistant principal eventually interfered and helped carry out the conference that I had no idea even existed. We need to encourage a better school environment for a student and stop making students feel like a bunch of criminals. I did not like that. I had to go through that, and many of my peers also share that they have gone through something similar. We must change the ways we are doing things so students can enjoy school and want to come to school to learn. Thank you.
Socrates, what school do you attend?
Beauregard.
Thank you. Andrew Masari. Andrew, if I didn't say your last name correct, please help me. Wait till you get to the mic so we can hear it.
Musafari.
Musafar.
Hello, my name is Andrew Musafari. I'm here to talk on the topic of transportation. I personally believe that the NFTA buses aren't the safest and the most efficient way for students to get from home to school, due to the fact that it isn't limited students. I also believe that the NFTA buses aren't the safest because I sometimes see riders under the influence, which can easily negatively impact students. Another issue that I see along the lines of transportation is that the special buses are supposed to be for students only, but there are adults on them as well, which causes less room for students and cause them to wait for the next bus due to the bus being full. Sometimes by the time the next bus arrives, students' bus passes are locked due to the time lock and they are not able to ride on the bus. My solution to this issue is I suggest that our bus passes lock time are extended to 7 p.m. at least, or have more buses come out during or around school start and dismissal time to ensure that every student is going to school on time and getting home safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Wayden Gore, Student Wellness, followed by Helena Noor.
Hello, my name is Wayden Gore. I am a high school student. I wish that you are all well today. I am here to talk about suspensions throughout BPA schools. Students often get suspended for reasons that deserve consequences, but the consequences are not always restorative. We do not always have to remove students from schools for dumb reasons when the issue can easily be solved in a healthier way. Students that find themselves suspended usually aren't just doing things to find themselves in suspension, but can always be going through difficulties at home or outside of school that impacts them in their way that they are, which could be resolved from a simple talk from adults and their self, including staff. Students do not benefit from being removed from school. Suspended students do not hold their accountable. It pulls them back. Students are lacking their education by being suspended because they are having students serve an at-home suspension would make students feel as if it's just a free day to stay home, while realistically, students will be behind their learning due to the work and assignments they did not complete while they were suspended from school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing with us, Walden. Helena, Noor, after which Mark Bruno will be called. Welcome, Helena.
Hi, good evening, Superintendent and the board. My name is Halima Nora, and I'm a junior in high school. I hope everyone is doing well today. I'd like to share my experience of what it means to be held accountable to the adults that are enforcing rules at my school. I'm an 11th grader, and I've never experienced some things that I've experienced up until this year. I sincerely believe that school discipline should be handled in a different way, a different and more healthier way. I'm a student that never caused any trouble and was kind to my teachers and peers and never got suspended from pre-K up until my junior year. There was a situation that happened a few months ago, and I felt that I wasn't given enough resources to get the help I needed. When things happen, there seemed to be an automatic punitive response from the schools instead of resolving things restoratively, which would have helped myself and many other students. Although I do understand that sometimes the staff are just following what's asked of them, there has to be better solutions than suspending and excluding students from schools. The response to suspend me earlier this year has done nothing but push my problems to the side and made me feel as though I didn't matter and that we as children can't make mistakes when that's what life is for. We make mistakes and we learn from them. We as students have a say in how we grow and learn from situations. Last week, we went to a high school and surveyed the students on school health and wellness around what kind of changes they would like to see in their school. We got good responses and good feedback from the students. They were glad to be asked these questions and engage and speak on a topic they would have never otherwise had the chance to. As a student, I do believe that since students are being impacted by the rules and guidelines that schools are enforcing, we should have the opportunity to be a part of these conversations and be part of the decision-making process and put resources like restorative circles and restorative practices that can change the outcome of a situation in a more productive way, where students can be held accountable and they learn from their mistakes. Beyond that, school safety, emotional, psychological safety is equally as important. Schools need to be places where students feel supported, understood, and cared about. This includes having a strong anti-bullying policy, which I love to see in BPS, access to more mental health resources, a supportive school culture that promotes inclusiveness and respect among students and staff, ensuring the safety of students. By addressing these needs, schools can create a nurturing environment that is conducive to learning and growth. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Mark Bruno, teacher, parent, concerned citizen, BTF union representative. His subject is retaliation.
Board President, can I hand out some folders to the board, or someone can give them to all of the members? Thank you. Thanks so much. And just before I get started, I just want to correct the record again. Once again, my speech title has been censored. It says retaliation. My title that I called in was a pattern of behavior of retaliation against protected union activity at Riverside High School. And it seems like my title is censored one day, I complain about it, then it's not censored. I'm a social studies teacher. I teach how bad censorship is pretty much all year long. And I just, maybe a clear policy by the board on when the title can be censored, when it cannot be censored, what the title should say would be nice, because, yeah. I respect, I don't, that doesn't really make sense to me, and I'm looking at the first speech title, and so I disagree with you.
Okay, so let's move forward.
Yes, a policy would be nice in writing, so thank you.
Mr. Bruno, please move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mark Bruno. I am a Buffalo parent, a teacher at Riverside High School, but I've also been the union rep for close to 20 years at the school. Under the Taylor Law, when I'm a union representative, I am the equal of the administrator. I have protected speech. I do not take directives in that role when I'm a union rep. In 2015, myself and 5 other teachers at Riverside, 3 of them union reps, were put on paid administrative leave, and steps were taken to fire us. The district spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, 4 arbitrators, a New York State Supreme Court judge, and a PERB administrative law judge all vindicated us. The district even agreed we did nothing wrong, which is in the documents that you have. You know, the district tried to ruin 5 of its employees' lives, and we did absolutely nothing wrong. And hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money was wasted. We seem to be going down that path again at Riverside. I was just written up for sending emails to the board, to the superintendent, which I've done for years. I've never been told not to do it. In this last email, which is included in your folders, there was a statement that questioned the decision of my principal. It was one line. That was really not the gist of the email. So it seemed like there was no problem when I've done this all these years, but now all of a sudden I'm being written up for doing it. So either a whole bunch of people from the district did not do their job in enforcing a policy that does not exist, or I'm being retaliated against for protected union speech, which is illegal in the state of New York. I really, based on what I've been through, have no faith in the district to police itself. I'm a big fan of going to arbitrators, administrative law judges. In 2015 and 2016, those are the people that actually vindicated us. A district official was called not a credible witness in one of those decisions, which is a polite way of saying something. So I'm hoping that we can not continue down this path again and not waste hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer dollars. It's blatant retaliation. The Public Employee Relations Board, PERB, and administrative law judges handle these charges, but it's completely the same thing that happened in 2015. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Ed Spadell as special education, followed by our final speaker, Jessica Bauer-Walker, on wellness. Welcome, Mr. Spadell.
Thank you. I had intended on talking about special ed, but I first want to address a serious issue that the board will be voting on tonight. Last month, many employees of the district and employee of Canisius College came and spoke about the great work that Sue Baldwin has done for the district. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to not vote to put her on her jewel. I am a witness to an incident where
Mr. Spadell, please do not use the name of the employee.
Oh, she gave me permission.
No, she can't give you permission. I'm telling you, that's one of our rules. Please do not.
That's unconstitutional, but I'm done using her name. Her supervisor, I was on a Zoom call, her supervisor called her, belittled her in front of us on a call. I would recommend to her supervisor, she spends more time concentrating on our kids reading and writing and getting to their math skills than harassing an employee that works for her. So let me get to special ed. I wanted to thank Dr. Rivera for bringing the, even though it's a little old, but bringing the special ed review to our attention. I have 3 incidents of special ed that I want to address. One, it took me 3 days to help a family get a student transferred to an open seat in a school because we don't transfer kids after March 1st. The student was having a difficult time in the building. The student was refusing to go to school. We had to fight to do a simple thing to transfer a kid to an open classroom that he was going to go to in September. Second, I attended a CSE meeting with one of my fellow parents here, and the chair blatantly left out of the notes that we requested extended school year, which the teachers approved, the parents approved, only the chair didn't approve. I'm gonna add a positive thing though. Today I was at School 81, and the professionalism of the CSE chair and team there is outstanding. The mother's first meeting ever, and they took the time to explain the process to her, explain what they were doing, and they really worked hard to get what the student needed. And in closing, June 1st is coming up fast. Make sure you show up to the summit. We have the first annual cornhole tournament. It's going to be a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Final speaker, Jessica Bauer-Walker. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Walker.
Good evening. I just want to lift up this concept of us needing to really work together across stakeholder groups, which is the emphasis of when I was here speaking last month around the wellness policy and school wellness teams. I have to say it was quite disappointing when, in an affirming way, saying that we really wanted to be involved with the wellness policies, and in 3 minutes there was not enough time to talk about some of the barriers to doing so, that the majority of the board still voted to move that forward. I appreciate the board members who didn't, but when parents say that there's an issue and students say that there's an issue, we are asking you to please believe us. So you see us here all the time. There's no reason why we wouldn't participate if there weren't some barriers to participation. So if we can continue to work together, parents and students are here raising up issues of health and safety tonight. I do want to lift up some positive things. We have students here who are talking about issues for changes that they want to see. There is some good things going on. I'm concerned that we are at the end of the year and some things are not happening quickly enough. We know that when we go and talk to the students, I've shared here before that our students have designed a survey on issues that are important to them, and they've been going and doing outreach. I want to thank Hutch Tech and Principal Zach for allowing us to come in during their lunch period where we were able to talk and get about 150 surveys that our students did in a peer-to-peer way. Students talking to students about issues that were important to them and what they would love to see in their school. So we got some really good feedback. The issues around suspensions, again, please believe us when we say we want this to be happening, and there are some good things happening. There is some training happening. There's some constructive conversations happening. But restorative practices is not a training. Restorative practices is a practice. When we continue to suspend our children or say we're going to have a diversion program that happens after our children are suspended, and we've tried multiple times to negotiate diversions or preventative techniques, and we're told that they can't happen, and our children are being put into very difficult and dangerous situations, we're asking for you to act with a sense of urgency, and we're here to help, right? We're here to help with that. Lastly, the commissary. We were assured, this is something we've worked on for advocating for years. There is great work going on in the food service department. We have $2 million committed from ECIDA, $5 million from the New York State Infrastructure Grant for food service. We heard at the committee meeting last week that this project is in jeopardy. What happened? We are confused. We would like to have answers as parents and as taxpayers. We're back to, we're leasing a building or we're starting over again. Please help us to understand, because we were assured that this project was moving forward. So we have sent a request to the superintendent and the mayor to ask for a meeting. Again, please let us work together, help us to understand so that we can make sure that our children are healthy, safe, and supported. Thank you.
Superintendent, would you respond to the speakers, please?
All right, I will begin. First of all, thank you all for being so patient this evening. I know it's a beautiful evening. You know, the weather was really nice when I came in, and the fact that you all took time out to be here tonight with us shows how much you care about the topics that you discussed. I will start with Mother Crude, who asked us about getting more teachers from Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana. I think we would love to do just what you've asked us to do. We certainly are not adverse to that. So, you know, we have a great chief of human resources, and I know, bless you, that that's something that we would love to do. I will, for the sake of time and because many of the concerns were very similar, if it's okay, address the Eastside Parkways Coalition as a whole. You know, that is a neighborhood that means a lot to me because I grew up at, it was 1252 Fillmore Street, and it was in between Northampton and Girard. And, you know, my grandfather started a church, Mount Moriah, which is on Northampton Street. And I grew up at Cedar Grove Missionary Baptist Church, which was on East Utica and Humboldt. So I am very entrenched in that community. And I must admit, I'm a little miffed as to why the school district somehow or another has been excluded from conversations involving something this significant when we have so many children that attend school there, that attend church there, that live there. The Humboldt, you know, our Humboldt Park is right there, and, you know, the children are there. I am, I guess, very, very miffed as to how all of this has happened, and the school district, the board members, none of us have really been involved in the concerns that were shared tonight are significant. I took a lot of notes and I listened carefully. I'm certainly open to meeting with the coalition in a separate meeting to really understand a little better and to bring some of my team that can help me to understand how we can work together, you know, but first I need to understand fully, you know, what the timeline is, when all of this started, and, you know, the significance of the concerns. There are many members of the committee that, you know, I know personally and have deep respect for. So please invite me to a meeting and allow me to arrange for myself and members of my team to come out to wherever it is that you'd like to host it. If you'd like to come to my office, you can. And we can sit down and I can better understand. I know that a document was shared tonight, and it's pretty dense, the document. So I'm very open to us doing that. If you would like to have some members of the board that would attend the meeting with us, you know, just please let me know. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. Let's see here. Now, we had, I won't try to pronounce the last name, but you certainly brought a young man with you that I want to lift up from City Honors, Dr. D. I'm just going to call him Dr. D. And boy, his message hit home when he talked about not only himself, but, you know, his younger sibling that attends Mikowski School. So please, if we're able to do the meeting in the afternoon so that he can be a part of it, I would love for that to happen. To the Ayala family, the messages shared tonight were very heartfelt. And I know that, you know, Mom shared that sometimes you can feel placated when you come because you have 3 minutes to say a lot. But I purposely take time to really listen to what you're saying. I'm not on my phone. I don't bring out my laptop. I'm looking at you and I'm listening and I'm taking notes. And I have staff follow up in between board meetings because I have listened. And I do expect and hope that something is done to address the concerns that are shared. If you've taken enough time out of your evening to come and to bring your children, then I think the least that we can do is everything that we can to try to address the concerns that you share. I am very sorry that your son was in class and was hurt by another child. And I hope that you know how seriously this was taken by the level of people who interjected into this. You had the president of the DPCC, you had the president of our board, you had an associate superintendent for our school district. That's a lot of capital to hear and to see how we can work on things so that your son, so that first of all, you can feel comfortable. There's no feeling worse than a mother not feeling comfortable sending her child into any of our schools. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother, and that resonates with me. And so on two fronts, when we have situations where two students are in a conflict and one is hurt, both students are hurt. And I want to get help for both. You mentioned some things about the teacher contract, and you know, you weren't pleased with how the teacher engaged in it. And I just want to share that, you know, the safety piece for me is huge for our children and for our staff. I don't have the specific details on how physical it got. I will meet with the associate superintendent, who I know was a part of the meeting that happened at the school. You know, but I will share that we have prioritized having supports for our children. Counselors, I mean, you know, we talk about suspensions and we talk about help and we talk about punitive. It's tricky because on the one hand we have, you know, I'm hearing that, you know, suspensions are not the answer. And they're not the only answer. We know that. And on the other hand, I'm hearing that, you know, a child was really hurt and, you know, we've got to address that. And so, you know, there's a way, I think, to do some of both. But please know that you are heard and what you share is never, ever placated. And we will follow up again, and we will keep following up until we get it right. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, it won't. Last year at this time, we didn't have school security in elementary schools. We do now. And, you know, I hope that, you know, that's something. We didn't always have full-time counselors and social workers and psychologists in schools, and we do now. And I know we have a long ways to go. We've got 30,000 students in our district, 60 schools, 7,000 plus staff. And, you know, things don't move as quickly as we would like. But please know, Ms. Ayala, that I hear you, I see you. If we need to meet, I'm open to sitting with you and meeting with you. You're the expert on how we can best help your child. And I don't mind sitting with you, talking with you, better understanding the extent of what happened that day at that school and seeing how we can peel some layers so that that never happens for you or for any other parent. I don't want that to happen any place. I want every parent to feel like your other two children feel every day that they go to School 17, where they talked about how magnificent their principal is and their assistant principal. And I happened to be over there for the eclipse glasses that they were giving out. And I agree. It's a wonderful, wonderful building. School 17 is a wonderful building. The children loved being there. They were smiling. The teachers were smiling. You know, the bulletin boards were vibrant. Everything was going great. And so that's the same feeling that I want our parents and our children to have at every school within the Buffalo Public School District. So thank you for coming out tonight and bringing your 4 children. And I will be reaching out to you personally, myself, so that I can better understand what needs to happen to help you to feel comfortable sending your child into school. Ms. Hussein, it seems like it's been a little while since I've seen you. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's just been a long time between April and May's meeting, but it's good to see you. It's good to see you. And you always drop a little bit of knowledge that sticks with me. And you said something that I just said also, that yes, we have done a lot, and there is still more work to do. You did mention Eid in the district, and that is something that is on my radar. You know, we talked a little bit about it last year, and I heard from the community. You know, I heard from the community. I had some students that came to visit me yesterday, I think, from School 31, and one of the teachers was asking me also about it. And so this is something that, you know, the calendar is something that we work on really all year. It's not something that, you know, within a couple of weeks, just because it comes to the board, you know, usually around this time. We've been working on it for some time. And so I know that there are some other districts in New York State that do have Eid as a holiday, and I need to reach out to some of the leadership there to see how they were able to stay within the mandated days of time that we have to have according to New York State Education Department, and at the same time do that. So I'll need to do that so that we can look at something like that for next year. Socrates, you spoke about sitting in school suspension, and your parent that was unable to come, or you didn't know that your parent even needed to come. I expect that our students always speak civilly to teachers, and that teachers always speak civilly to our students. It's a both and. It is a both and. And so I would like to ask our Associate Superintendent, Ms. Watson, who is in charge of Burgard, to reach out to the principal and find out more about what happened and why you were yelled at and made to feel criminal, because that's never a goal for me as superintendent for any of our staff to ever make any student feel that way. Andrew mentioned the NFTA buses are not the safest, and that you see riders sometimes that are under the influence, and you brought forward some solutions, and I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to ask Mr. Hills to reach out and to talk with you a little bit about that. I too learned about a year ago that the general public is allowed to ride on our specials. Seemed like when I was in high school, specials were just for students, and that's not the case anymore. So we will reach out and talk a little bit more about that. You know, NFTAs are the only public transportation that we have, and I know that at the end of your discussion, you were asking about extending the bus pass time. And that's something that, you know, we need to talk about, because there are good things about that, and there are some challenges that come with that also. So we got to get it right. We've got to get that right. Let's see. Walden? Is that right? Walden? Whedon? Okay. You spoke about suspensions, and I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. You know, if students are getting suspended, I think you said for dumb reasons. I don't disagree with that. I don't. And that's why we have this code of conduct that is so important, because we don't want students getting suspended for minor infractions. You were popping gum, chewing gum or something. We don't want that. So that's why we have a code of conduct that goes from level 1, which is very, very minor and is something where a teacher handles it. They have a conversation with you, to level 2. If that doesn't work, where we bring parents in, or we have you go and meet with the school counselor to get it resolved. But when it gets to level 3, where there's something physical that could be happening, or gross insubordination, that's a short term. And the only time a student gets extended time out of school for a level 4 is if they have done something really, really, really serious. And so we have a code of conduct, and, you know, I would really like to see more of our young people. I know, Ms. Bauer-Walker, you've got a great group of young leaders in training, community health workers that work in our inner high, work with our inner high group also, because that's another leadership group. And that's another group to advocate and be able to get that voice heard on what they feel needs to be in the code of conduct and what doesn't. And, you know, transportation, if that's something that they want to lift up. So the community health worker piece is one way, but because they're Buffalo Public School students and these meetings are during the day, they could also participate in inner high if they're not already, because that's also where it would just be another way for their voice to be heard and for them to advocate on some of the policies that we have within the district. And I think that this would be something that this student might want to consider. Helena, you also spoke about discipline and our need. I mean, you really knocked it out the park. You listed a bunch of supports that were right on point. Restorative circles work. They work. You know, people think that restorative practices is pie in the sky, easy, kids get off easy because they're not, that is not true. It requires them to take accountability, to stand in their truth, and to heal the harm that they may have inflicted on someone else. It could be time consuming, but it works. It works when it's done the right way. And so you really hit the nail on the head with that in saying that we need more mental health supports in our schools. I do not disagree with that at all. Mr. Bruno, you shared a packet of information that, you know, I have not had an opportunity to take a look at, but I promise you that I will take a look at it. Certainly, I am a fan of a chain of command, and I would love when there are things happening in schools that, you know, it's able to be resolved there with the administration. You know, I know that there are there are meetings, building committee meetings. You know, I am, in hiring principals and assistant principals, I meet with everyone because there are certain skills that I look for in them. And so when things, when you feel like you're not being heard at the building, the next step would be the associate superintendent who's over the school, to go to them. And so I don't know really what happened here with what's in the folder, but I am big on the chain of command, and I'll tell you why. We went through a training with the Council of Great City Schools, and they said something that really hit home to me. And they said, if you went to Duff's and you had a hair on your chicken wing, would you go to the president of Duff's that might be sitting in Denver or wherever, or would you deal with the manager that's there that could address it really quickly? And I think sometimes it may take longer when you go outside of the school to get something handled, because the principal of the school is responsible for that building. And Dr. Williams is responsible for 60 buildings, and the board is responsible really for a community. So it gets, it just takes more time when, when you start doing things outside of the building. So I will take a look at what's in the folder. I haven't seen it. I promise that I will take a look at it and see what all is in there. President Spidell, talking about, tenure and staffing, that's something else that I take very seriously. I do. And when someone has been supervised by someone for years, I don't tend to get too into, micromanaging or overruling unless there's a reason. But I want you to know that I do due diligence. I work closely with human resources. And there is this thought in this district about, tenure. There's a thought about tenure. And, I can't go too far into things that are personnel related, but please know that you know me, and you know that I do my due diligence, and you know that I treat everybody fairly and respectfully. I stand on that. No matter who it is, a student, community partner, parent, grandparent, president of DPCC, but whoever it is. So please know that. Know that it's not something that I take lightly, and that, I do my due diligence in that area. I do plan to be at the June 1st event. I've never played cornhole. The 28th also? Okay, the 28th also. Never played cornhole, but I will. And I just want to say to, is it Diana Ayala, who invited us all to be a part of that dunk booth? I might come to the event, but I promise you I won't be in that dunk booth. That I'm not going to. I'll sell some cotton candy, I'll juggle some ball, I'll do whatever, but I won't be a part of that dunk booth. But maybe some board members might. Don't think so? You don't think so? You'll grill? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. Your concerns have been heard. We will be following up. And is that everyone?
I think so. And so I need to.
Oh, no. Did I get Ms. Bauer Walker? No, I didn't get Ms. Bauer Walker. Oh, my goodness. Ms. Bauer Walker, we can sit down and have a dialogue. I know you mentioned the commissary, and you have concerns there. And I would like to not publicly in this forum get into that, but I will sit down with you. If you sent me some information, you sent me a request, I will definitely respond to that, and we can discuss, we can discuss that piece. The wellness policy is something that is always evolving. It's always ongoing. And, we give kudos to, the work that you've done with the wellness policy It's my understanding that they did have community meetings and opportunities for folks to give input into, but please do not feel that because it was passed, you weren't heard, or, you know, parents were somehow or another, you know, not listened to. We listen. That doesn't mean that we always give what's being requested, but we do listen. And the wellness policy is one of those policies that's always evolving. It's not the end. I mean, there'll be more opportunities for input, but we ask that you continue working with us. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. I want to caution the board about jewels. Many of you do not know that there are certain authorities that the superintendent has. And it falls under the category of solely her responsibility. And Jewel is that. Board members, you can vote no for hiring, firing, you can vote. But when it comes to a Jewel, you need to understand that that is a corrective plan that an employee may be put on, okay? And so you need to understand that, okay? Know the law, and the law will follow you. For anyone to ask you to vote no on a Jewel equals termination for an employee if the board passes that. So know the law, know your rules, okay? That's what I'm here for, okay, to make sure that we do things in an orderly way. And I wanted to protect that. I just did want to say something about the commissary. Just know that this board is very much aware of things that are happening and what has been promised. But what we're not going to do moving forward is fall short on making sure that we meet the needs of these children. And if it takes a little longer to get it right, longer time to get it right, that's what we're going to do. We have the opportunity to acquire assets. We have $39 million on the table. And if it means that it's going to take 1.5 years more to get it done, and it's done right, and Buffalo Public Schools has something to show for it, then that's what this board is about. We are not about, under our fiduciary responsibilities, just letting money be spent any longer and not have any sort of accountability or commitment in the future to it. We have made a lot of people rich in this city. It is time to empower these children, and that's where we stand. If you want more information, take a look at the board meeting. That's the reason why we had the committee meeting, and it will explain quite a few things and how the board felt. Thank you. Let's see. In regards to Mr. Bruno, I feel the need to say something, Mr. Bruno, to you, because you always come, you spend your time, and I appreciate that. However, I need to be clear in trying to move things forward in this district. You oftentimes walk a thin line. And the reason that you have that privilege is because you are the building delegate. But what I want to tell you across this district is that many of the problems that I have encountered the past 4 months have been with building delegates, okay? And some of the problems that I am having right now with parents are with building delegates. So when the superintendent talks about following the chain of command, she's also talking about the union and the procedures that they have in place. Phil Rumor, Rich Nigro, they are the chain of command. If you don't feel that Buffalo Public Schools is doing what they're supposed to do, then you have your union to go to. But what we cannot have, okay, we cannot have a school that has half of the students in the building, and the adults in the building not handling the students. The ratio sometimes is 3 to 1 up in there. We have to figure some things out in that building, and I'm concerned about it because it keeps echoing safety, safety, safety. And the last time we heard that conversation, or we had it, we ended up with a problem at one of our schools, and I'm not going to mention that school. So we're not playing lightly with safety, but you have to understand that as a board member and as a president, when I hear a constant cry for support, for safety, I am going back to my record and understanding what happened in another situation, and we will not allow that to happen. If we cannot get order in that building, we have to make sure that our children are safe at all times. And I just want to say safety is first, and so we appreciate you coming. But I felt I needed to tell the board that, because my concern with the teacher's contract is that any time children are being hurt and an adult who is legally licensed, who is a mandatory reporter, and who is required by law to protect children in their capacity, does not do that for children. I don't care what contract you have. As an adult, you have a license in New York State. Let something seriously happen to a child under your presence, and you did not do everything you can to protect that child, and see how the lawsuits flow. Buffalo Public Schools will not be the only one listed in a situation like that. Understand that, okay? We pay teachers handsomely in this district, and we expect for them to rise to the occasion at all times. And I'm not necessarily convinced that people are getting the understanding of that. To whom much is given, much is required. Okay, in corporate America, if you got a raise to the significance that we gave recently, you would be required to do more work. It should be an understanding. We are striving to be number one, and we intend on our children getting the education that they deserve. We are working, we have board members sitting up here taking their own evenings away from their families to learn how to do good governance so that they can be better board members. Our ultimate goal is student outcome. And when we put that finger up number one, we want to be number one in every category, and that's what we're striving for. So serve and be noticed that to whom much is given, much is required, and that includes not just teachers, to everyone in this district, that we have to make sure that we rise to the occasion. And no excuses, no excuses, no excuses. I don't want to hear them. I want to hear solutions. Kudos to the young people that brought solutions to the table today. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to our young student representative, who is on her way to her prom and her class day in college. So we better enjoy her while we can. Deja Mims.
Okay. Oh, hello? All right, so I wanted to discuss the Albany trip that I had went on last month, which is why I couldn't go to the board meeting last month either, because I was there. But for our Albany trip, we went to conferences to talk about the bill and to try to discuss the policies that were going to be affected by the new bill that was passing. We also went to the Capitol tour, but that's neither here and there. We also wanted to talk about, so the few of the policies that we wanted to discuss were the CTE courses, which are college courses that can give students that could give students opportunities to earn college credit or to have college courses like green tech or nursing or stuff like that. Some schools that we have currently, do they give out associates possibly when they graduate? No clue. But the second one is also the English language learners that we wanted to talk about. We wanted to implement more of our teachers who are bilingual into our schools to help those whose English is not their first language to help adapt to, of course, living in America and in our districts. The third one was the to remake the bill's policies amount because the bill is outdated. I believe it was last updated 10 years ago, so we wanted to try to update that into getting more money or more funds to allocate to all of the other places the money will need to be in. And then we also talked about mental health and more social workers being implemented into our buildings. And then, yeah, those were one of our main ones that we mostly talked about, me and my vice president. We talked about those bills, so our policies, to numerous senators who were there for the bill passing. We kind of acted like lobbyists. We talked to the senators. We asked them, well, we wanted to tell them why we think that we should have more funding increasement for those type of policies. Let's see. We also, again, we did all of that on the Albany trip, and then our last inter-high meeting, we had a speaker come up to talk about mental health and the correlation of attendance. Ms. Shaquita Ibrahim, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, I'm really bad with names. But we wanted to find a way that we can increase attendance. Some of our students wanted to say add incentives or add more resources for mental health to get them help, because a lot of the reasons why we feel like students are not coming in or they have poor attendance is because of their mental health. So we just wanted to find different ways so we can be there for our students and to help them have sources for them to go to. And then, of course, we talked about our project that we're going to be doing. We're going to be we're still discussing our elderly home project that we're going to be doing. We're going to have multiple schools come up to the multiple elderly homes to help give back to our elderly, whether it being, spending time with them, making cards, just some type of service that we could give to them. And I believe that was mostly what we talked about for our inter-high meeting. Oh, in our inter-high meeting, we also did talk about the Albany trip for a good amount of it as well.
What is it?
The Albany conference trip. Okay. And lastly, I do just want to thank everybody who was inside of the Inter-High Student Council. I am grateful for the opportunities I was able to have and the leadership that I was able to be given. I was also also want to give a shout out to all of our students who were able to represent themselves and their students in order to give a change for our community. And even those who aren't even inside of the Inter-High Student Council, I hope that we will be able to have our students to voice their opinions more and to lead us to a better future and for them to have a better future.
She's been very busy. So proud of her and Deja, and she represented us with the Big Five. That is their second year for bringing students to Albany, and it was reported back that she is a rock star. That's what we were told, and we knew that when we sent her. So thank you for that. Superintendent, you said you had a brief update.
Yes, it's very brief. I've already given a presentation to all of the board members for you to peruse, and that really is the emphasis for the update. What's entailed in it, the leadership team that the board president put together with respect to the Council of Great City Schools and the setting of goals, and board member McKecken specifically had requested for me to share kind of where we were in the work with respect to our goals, where we are now, and where we are striving to get to by the end of the year. And so that's the information that is contained in the report that I've shared with you. I am very optimistic. We are working very, very hard with our principals, reading teachers, coaches, everyone. We're all focused on making sure that our third graders not just meet the goals, but in the year, reading proficiently. And what I'm pleased about is that already at the middle of the year, we were better than where the third graders were last year at the end of the year. So I'm optimistic that, we certainly are on track. We made big gains in our iReady math assessment between the beginning of year, where I think we started at 2%, middle of the year, they were scoring at 10%. That's a pretty good jump. Okay. So, we certainly are progressing. We're doing all that we can with our 12th graders. We know that seniors, for as long as history has been around, get senioritis. And, at this time of the year, some of our seniors feel they've already graduated. And so we're doing a lot of work with attendance with them. We did an awful lot to make sure that as many as possible sat for January exams, those that were eligible to sit for their January Regents exams to try to earn credits. You know, we worked with that, and I believe we have a couple of days coming up where we're doing some Saturday boot camps for students that need to take Regents exams and just trying to get them ready and prepared. So we truly are leaving no stone unturned. Mrs. Watson and all of the ASLs, Chief Jesenowski, they have been working very, very closely with our counselors, with our principals, combing through transcripts to make sure that no credits are being missed. We knew that this would be a stretch goal because the students this year do not have the same benefits that students in the past couple of years have had with the waivers, but you know, it certainly is something that we are trying very hard to attain. So you do have that report at your seats.
So, thank you. Board members, this was, I think, emailed to us yesterday. And so I've had a chance to take a look at this report. We are focusing on trying to spend more time on items like this. More student outcome goals is what we're ultimately hoping that this, our meetings will turn into, which will ultimately send the message that the board is monitoring this. One of the things that I saw, which I was somewhat impressed with, is that you had close to 64% of the seniors who had completed 5 Regents. Are 5 Regents the maximum that they need to graduate?
That's the minimum number of Regents that they need to graduate.
The minimum they need,
and
okay.
So many are already positioned to walk the stage, and I'm sure that our rep up here, Deja Mim, she's shaking her head yes, is in that group. So.
Okay, what I did not understand was the 2338 number. I saw 2 numbers that confused me. One was the 2338, and I think on one of these reports you had the total cohort number, and I didn't think that number was 23, and that's what threw me off. Looking at this. The seniors, right.
Yeah, the cohort of 2020, I don't have it here in front of me. If you can show me specifically, I can address it. But that's the cohort that we're looking at. You know, we know that we have some seniors that are 5th-year seniors, but the group that we're tracking is the students who are in the 2020 cohort that are graduating within 4 years. That's, okay.
So this is what I was questioning, because I saw that number, 1974, and then there was another number of 2338, and so that's what I wasn't quite sure. I'm looking under the cohort 2020 snapshot, which is in the middle of the report. In the future, maybe we can number these pages, it might help.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But that's I didn't know exactly.
This looks like the number per school that we broke down of students that are in that cohort. So for instance, at the Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts, there are 86 students that have 15 or more credits, but of those, there are actually in total 89 students, and out of that 89, 86 are already with the 5
Right, I understood
credits.
that, I just didn't understand the grand total. Okay, here it says 1974, so I saw that 2338, and so I was like, okay, where does that number come in at? So maybe you can check that and answer that for me, because I'm sure it's some students that we're not counting, but I was surprised to see really that it looked like you had found a lot of these students, which I thought the numbers were higher than that because we had so many that did not return back to school. I know it's a slow struggle to move academics. Okay, that's where I got confused at. Okay, all right, so yeah, help me with that. But I also was pleased to know that you know, we're looking better than I thought we were going to be looking this year. But we know that this is an ongoing process. Does anyone have any questions about this report other than the questions that I brought to the table? Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Thank you, President. Oh, yeah, my question is based upon looking at the experience of the third grade cohort performance. I did glance over this yesterday, and it talks about poverty in the school deserts, but it didn't talk about the amount of drug usage just in the neighborhood, the drug addictions, and the crime that's being plagued in the neighborhoods also that can be contributed to these statistics and the ability for our children to learn. And one thing that was brought up today was about the emissions of the carbon-based fuels that's being burned, and some things like that also, where children are living by truck depots and catching the buses to school every day. So it's like a number of things I didn't see listed that should be added to this list.
Right, that's just a snapshot. There are so many endless things that impact, how children are able to be successful in school. That was just a snapshot, but you're absolutely right. Things like what was discussed tonight here, crime, not being able to cross over neighborhoods, which many of our students have to do. We're a choice district, and students are able to select schools that sometimes sit outside of their zip codes. All of those things do impact how successful a student is in school.
And one of the biggest things is homelessness, the rise in rental prices that's here in the city of Buffalo, leaving a lot of our children and families homeless, and that has a huge impact, along like Jennifer said, gentrification. Thank you.
So if you have additional questions after you review this report, how about you send them, and then at our next, where do you want to put it? Do you want to put it under educational support, or do you want to put it under a student achievement? You want to go, Larry, take it under student achievement. Okay, so you can have your questions answered, and we'll spend more time on that at our next committee meeting as such. Okay, may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Well, one this way. Okay. Saw Jennifer's hand and Kathy. I'll come back the next time over this way. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right, on the consent agenda, I have 18D, Mr. Hurd, Concealed Weapons Detection Service and Software.
Thank you, President. Well, my concern about this is that we agreed to a price to pay for using these instruments and bringing them to the district, which is a great need here in the city of Buffalo about weapon detection and working in all our schools. Also, we have to extend it to our elementary school program, so it'd be more money that we'd be spending. But I was unaware that we'll be spending $906,000 a year in upgrades. And is this going to be the trend that's going to be going every year for these products, or is there going to be a cutoff on this, or maybe a upgrade possibly every several years? Because this is a large amount, and I wasn't aware. I don't know if the board was, but I was unaware of this price on a yearly basis, if this is what this is.
Yes, and that is the annual licensing, maintenance, and software for all of the scanners that are deployed at our schools. And that will be an annual expense of a similar amount.
I don't know if the board's concerned, but that's an extensive amount for our licensings per year. And is there any way that could be negotiated, brought down, because we have purchased 72 units. And with those units, I think that we should be really considered, one of a prime spender or purchaser of these projects. I mean, it's just money is very encompassing to me.
Yeah, yes, I mean, we always do that at the annual year, but this product and the last 7 units that we purchased and that were installed very recently, I think maybe January, that is the number for next year, and that was always a part of this investment.
So when I was in away in Orlando, I met the CEO of this organization and had a conversation with him, me being the salesperson that I am, and I asked if he was going to help us in any way And so I was looking for support such as a community benefit to us.
Yep.
We spent a lot of money with this organization.
Yes.
We are a poor school district. And I'm concerned, what's the date on this contract renewal? 7/1/2024. So I would like to ask, Superintendent, that you pull this item and move it to next month after a conversation is had about assisting us as a district, okay? We've spent a lot of money, and part of the, if we're talking security, there are a lot of things that can help us in the security realm, but I don't have a problem with going back to the drawing board and asking if we can see if we can have some sort of a credit or something in return. What's wrong with that?
Just the timing, I don't have the contract or
I do,
in
it's
front of me.
July.
As long as we get it done by July, this company will absolutely shut it off.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, just,
But if they shut it off, okay, then we're gonna have a problem with them too. Okay, because either they're committed to us or not. Okay? Mr. Hurd, you wanna say something, then Larry Scott?
We don't dare want to put any child lives in danger or our staff lives in danger by not using this type of security system. It's the new age. This is what we're going to have to do from this day on, as far as in schooling, schools across New York State. Suburban school districts are doing the exact same thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
But the prices that we're paying for this system, for 72 systems, indoor systems, and also purchasing more systems for our elementary schools in the future, if that's still the plan, that this price is going to do nothing but implode more. And how can we afford, or they should really look to public school districts, probably give us a break or try to find a way that we can work together in this, maybe use it as a pilot. I don't know. I don't know how many schools that Inc. Labs use across the country, but we really need to sit down at the table and just talk about this price.
and there's another thing that we are also investigating is to bid these out and go to another vendor. They've had price increases and the $900,000 per year in service and software. They are not the only game in town.
What was our original price for our contract for the equipment?
I'll get you that.
Okay, I just know that.
I'll get you that and send it to you tomorrow. And those prices, they've already increased them for any new units going forward. Our purchasing department is aware of that, and any additional units will be bid out with potential other vendors.
Mr. Scott?
So these weapons detecting systems are to keep our schools, our students, staff safe. Do we require any data on the purpose they're serving or intended to serve?
I'll get you that answer from our security department.
And also, I'd like to know if it's required. If they're expecting us to pay almost $1 million
Yes.
annually, possibly even higher next year, should we be requiring them to show us that these systems in some way are keeping our students and staff safe?
Larry, that's a great question. We weren't involved in the original purchase or specs for this system, but I can get you those answers.
Thank you.
We'll pull that item.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I appreciate that. Next. I have Mr. Hurd under 18KK, approval of WASD consumables for 2024 school year. The board members were sent a sheet on this based on some questions that were asked. Did I do the wrong one? Okay,
We have P, P, and KK.
right.
Okay. Yeah, my question with this is that throughout the year, I have spoken with several building leaders about the WASDAT program, which I know that it's a program that's designed to bring out the best in our children and work with them with ingenuity, new technology, and STEM programs, working with the STEM curriculum. I do appreciate the measure for this, but I also had a lot of feedback saying that, you know, the schools wasn't using the program. And I would like to first, before I vote on this, like to see some data about what's being used in our schools, which schools actually using the WASDAT program, and maybe we can try to adjust or train our teachers or principals or whatever measure we need to take so that it can be used widely across the district. And like I said, I do love what the program means, but if our school's not using it, I just don't see the $3,522,000 that's being asked for at a yearly basis. So I just need some more feedback information about how the WASDAT program is being utilized in our schools, the tools that's being used, and the principals and the teachers' ability to use this program and utilize these tools inside your schools.
Sure. First of all, good evening to our Honorable Superintendent and our Honorable Board members. I am happy to address that question for you. Every school in the district has the tools, has the kits, and are using the program as far as I was told. I'm in and out of many of the buildings, and I have seen it in action. Also, teachers have been given training on these programs, so they are equipped and knowledgeable in using the kits with the students. And this is K through 8, and we also have, of course, the 9 through 12 program and the robotics and the engineering program. Those are the kits that the 9 through 12 students are using. In K through 8, just I've written them down so I can make sure I can explain it correctly. We do have the robotics, the drone engineering, and 3D printing currently. And then next year, we'll be adding an additional kit to each of those grade levels, which would be robotics and animation, drone and cybersecurity, engineering and artificial intelligence, also drone 2, and robotics and engineering levels 2 and 3. So again, the kits are in the buildings. I have gotten very positive feedback about the program. I have, again, been in the schools. I have captured the students learning in this program. I have been in conversations with principals. If you don't mind, if you could, maybe email those schools to me that you're saying that are not using the program, and I'll be happy to reach out to them to see if there's any type of assistance that's needed to help them get started if that's the case.
Walker, the conversation I had was earlier in the school year and towards the middle of the school year about usage of the program.
Okay.
And that's why I was asking for information about how it's being utilized today.
Okay.
And if we can just have a report on all the schools and how they're utilizing the program, it'll just be a big help when we, looking to pass the budget and we're in such a budget crunch and talking about, layoffs at this time.
Right, so, early in the program, you're right, some of them weren't using it because they weren't trained in it.
Right.
But to this date, all schools are using it and all teachers have been trained, either the classroom teachers or we have the instructional coaches or the technology instructional teachers are also permitted to use the program and to implement it.
It's also the principal's ability to write this into coursework, for a day. And I'm not quite sure if it's actually, I've seen it at a couple of Saturday academies, but I'm not quite sure if it could be a Saturday academy program also, or if we just use it for coursework throughout the day.
We had Chief Botticelli and Kelly Baldo's office, as schedules or master schedules were being constructed, ensure that it was actually a part of the master schedule. So there's time set aside out of a 6-day cycle.
Yes.
For the courses to be taught. I also had Dr. Bullock's office put on student report cards, because we wanted to have some quantitative data on, our students enjoying it. I mean, we know what we see. I know the excitement that I see when I go in, and I know what I hear from teachers. but I'm looking at the end of the year to be able to assess, how many of our students satisfactorily completed, whatever they needed to complete with WASED. So we'll have that information because I know that they did do that also.
Yes, with Woods.
Current budget, we're asking, well, wait a minute. We spent $5 million to get the WASED program started for initial equipment, and that was supposed to be sent out to a lot of the schools because there is a lot of interest in the computing, the drones, robotics. That's something the kids are really interested in. But I'm looking here and you're saying we're putting $3.5 million in this year's budget. Then I was looking at, we're working on a 24-25 budget, and there's $3.5 million in there.
Yes, that is for the 24-25 school budget. This year is over.
Are these duplicates, or are you saying that every year for the next 5 or 6 years, we have to buy new equipment? It's every year we're going to have a $3.5 million investment. That's what
No,
you're
we
telling
won't.
me?
No, once we buy the kits, they're ours, and we won't have to purchase them again. The 3.5 is for the 24-25 school year, and that's a purchase of 3 additional kits.
And then next year?
The following year, if we choose to continue to grow the program, then it will be another 3.5. But if we do not, if that's not our intention, then it ends there, and the only expense will be the consumables each year.
Which is?
Which is what, the amount?
Consumables.
Oh, the
meaning?
consumables, sure. The consumables are the materials that comes with the kits. And so each year, of course, they run out. So we have to replenish them. And it can be anything from, depending on the kit, it could be batteries, it could be crayons, paper, sand, whatever is needed, flashlights, whatever is needed.
So the kits actually are reusable and will go from year to year. But
correct.
We do, on this schedule, have to spend $3.5 million next year.
Yes.
So that's not a duplicate. That's another. And then in the write-up I saw is another 3.5. So for the next 5, if we continue in the program, we keep moving ahead, spending
no
for next level kits.
No, after the if we decide to purchase kits in the 25-26 school year, then that will be the end of the pathway. We won't have to purchase any more kits. It's just strictly consumables. So it's not 3.5 year after year after year after year every year. No.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Sure.
The other question that I have, because I do have the engineering school, and I also have, well, actually I have 18 schools, and several of them are very interested in being involved with WASED. But at one of my schools, I was told that because we didn't have an instructor for the WASED, that they needed I guess it's a .2 instructor, so that the equipment is actually locked up and waiting until they get the instructor to be able to use the equipment. So my question is, why can't we integrate it so that the other computer teachers who are interested in it, why can't they also use the WASED equipment so we can be using this equipment and doing this program, year round? Why am I seeing the equipment locked up when I have people who want to use it? You have support for this program.
Absolutely, and for that particular school, and again, if you can talk to me later, we can have a conversation. But for that particular school, if they have a computer teacher who is willing to facilitate the program, then we welcome that. And that will be the teacher who would receive the training. And that person can then implement the program.
So my point is just, we need to expand it so that the computer program and the WASED program embraces other teachers, the computer programs, and is more widely used, because it can be.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can be.
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe we talk offline and you let me know what school it is, and then
Yeah.
I can work with Ms. Walker and the principal so that we can help that to happen.
Mhm.
I got two. You got two? Okay.
Dr.
Okay.
Evans Brown.
Thank you.
Yes, and I know that while it's at work, you know, sometimes you're not going to see results right away. Now, last month, we were all presented a very colorful WASET magazine, first of the state of the art. And if you read it, it shows depictions of our kids by grade level, what types of activities they're involved in. It was wonderful. I learned a lot about it. You know, coding, robotics, drones, etc. So we have to pay attention to what's being presented to us as well. The other thing is, I like WildZed because in 2019, the year I came on the board, Sharon Cotton dragged me to Salamanca.
Mm-hmm. I was there too. Yeah.
Okay, because it was so successful there. The attendance rate was the Native American population, the graduation rate were notorious. And we had a number of people there, including Marquita Bryan and some of the other, you know, principals, science teachers, etc. It was a lot of people, and like I said, I didn't know what we were getting into. But the presentation about WASED, including the students who presented, you know, building computers and robotics and stuff, it was just wonderful. We practiced, you know, flying with drones, etc. But more importantly, over time, the Native American graduation rate surpassed the 33% they had at the time. It surpassed 70+%. One of the attendance rate increased from, you know, some benchmark to whatever. It was just outstanding success and outcomes that we saw. And that was one of the reasons why Sharon introduced WASED to this district. So it does work. It's expensive, but we want results. We want state-of-the-art, you know, kinds of things with our children too. It should not just happen in the suburbs, okay? It shouldn't just happen in charters. We're getting it here. And so it's a little expensive, but our kids are worth it.
And they love it. I just was recorded for PBS something they're doing, and I went over to School 99 last week, and I was introduced to some kindergartners and some first graders, and a teacher who was over the moon excited about the work they were doing, but it was the children that really got me interested, because they were explaining in extreme detail, you know, how airplanes fly. Airplanes have 5 wings. Let me show you why. This is how much pressure they need to rise. And kindergartners and first graders, and they were working together. There was no bickering. There was no arguing. The teacher said that they have to, you know, write about the projects that they engage in. It's not just fun, but they have to write about it. They use higher level vocabulary as they're speaking about it. And I don't know if everyone knows, but the state is putting a lot of money at the University of Buffalo in creation of an AI program. I want our kids to be in the game, to be able to access stuff like that. Our children don't necessarily learn the way we did with a book, a pencil, and a piece of paper. You know, everything for them is, you know, it's got to be relevant, it's got to be engaging, it's got to be technology. And these children that I see in schools, because when I'm around, I'm looking for it, they love it, and the teachers do too. So if you haven't been out to see it, please go out and see it. If you call Mrs. Walker, I'm sure she can schedule, you know, some time. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed by what you see and what you hear.
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure to do so.
And I just want to say, too, when we talked to WASED and explained that, you know, we're in a budget deficit this year,
Yes.
They offered to
Yes.
pay
Yes.
Community
for all of
benefits
the-
agreement.
the 7th and 8th grade materials, because I said, we can't do it. And so they picked up the cost for all of our 7th grade and 8th grade materials, which, was quite something. We don't often get that, so.
Yes, I forgot to mention that, and they said that if we, of course, expand the program, they would do the same thing, pay for the 7th and 8th grade kids.
Next year. Yes, board member.
So since this is, I had a question, comment, some of my questions are being answered for 18 PP, so I'm just going to go ahead with it. And I did see the response to my question earlier. My concern is very similar, is that we do have, and to be completely honest, I would like to see details and data from across the district as to what schools are using, as opposed to me having to go and find out and bring it to you. I'd like for you to be able to tell me what schools are using it, because I get multitude of teachers who don't understand, and what's this, why is that, and they're teachers. So I'm not sure, I'm just saying, I'm not sure people are taking in these trainings, and it's just hearsay. So I'm not saying it's not happening.
Right.
And I would like to point out that I have an 8th grader at Waterfront who's 100% on board with this. He loves it. So this is not me saying I don't like the program.
Right.
For a $3.6 million cost, in the position we're in right now, my question was, we have, programs that are being cut, that are in place, that are recognized, that are doing work that is in danger, and these are things that we're looking to expand. I know we have schools that are 100% on board, but my question is, can we take some of this money and invest it into the schools that are currently really using it, and maybe work on easing the other folks in, and maybe saving some of that money? Is that a possibility? And
Well,
then the
again,
second question
Go
would
ahead.
be, when you say that you don't have a teacher, so when you do find a teacher, then they'll do it. Will these students be behind in how this curriculum is pushed through? I don't know if it's like, like a steps in 1st grade, 2nd grade, you learn a particular piece, but does it go like, if you didn't learn whatever it was from 1st grade and move on to 2nd grade, does it advance year after year, almost like grade levels, or is it just specific to that grade? In 3rd grade, you learn this, and then in 4th grade, you learn this. Like, I don't know if it's like you have to know what you learned the year before in order to advance in WASD. So
No.
this is where these are the questions that I have. So again, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to knock the program at all. It's working wonders in schools. I have seen it, but I am wondering if we can put. If we have kids that, it's not only in Paulette schools, that I'm hearing that kits are not being utilized and we don't have instruction currently happening. Again, hearsay. So if you can just show me that, every school is really utilizing this, and if not, how can we maybe invest in the schools that really are, and then work to make sure those schools that aren't at least get acclimated, and we don't go ahead and purchase kits for schools that aren't really using it right now.
Yes, well, it is the expectation that every school uses the kits.
Per superintendent.
Yes, this is
Okay.
a district initiative. So when I'm hearing that there are schools that aren't using them, the reason why I asked her to just please let me know who they are so that I can reach out to assist. That's why I asked her that question, because that's the expectation. Every school should be using it. And someone told me before, that someone else said to me that a particular school wasn't using WASD. So I called the principal, and then I went out to the school. And not only were they using the program, I put them on the cover of the WASD magazine so that it could dispel that myth. So again, if there are schools who are not using the program, and I'm sure there are principals who are watching, please reach out to me, and I will also reach out to principals as well to see if they're, to see why that's not being done, because that's the whole idea. We want equitable, so we want it to be equitable. So the point is, every school should be using WASD.
You have a showcase coming up. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's green, there we go. And I don't mean to badger.
No,
what
no
I'm
problem.
asking is
Yes.
these are the rumors I'm hearing, and as the front, a front-facing liaison to community, I don't want to be put in a position to have to question someone. I'm assuming that there's data related to all the use of WAS Ed that's happening within the district. What schools do not have the fantastical data that other schools might have, right? That's what I'm looking for when I say I'm hearing this. I'm not saying that it is happening or isn't. I'm actually ecstatic that you were able to prove that they are. I'm not pushing back against it, but I'm kind of getting a little, I'm feeling some type of way around me having to present to you data that I'm looking for from you in order to be able to.
I'm simply saying to you that if you heard about a particular school, that if you
I'm
wouldn't mind
hearing
sharing
about
it.
schools, that's what I'm saying. This is conversation about schools across the district, and for me to have to go and
You
hey,
certainly
remember
do
what
not.
you told me? What school is that? And what
If you don't feel comfortable doing so, please do not. So I will make sure
I'm
that.
feeling, I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm feeling as though you're disregarding and downplaying my point. My point simply is that I am hearing, so if you can provide, if you cannot, I understand that.
Sure, no
but
problem.
to retort with, you find out and let me know, when I'm actually asking that of you so that we can approve, I can approve this. And
So
feel good about
we can go ahead and get a report. I'll send something out, and we'll get a report for the board. We'll do that.
So you have a showcase coming up?
Yes.
When is it?
It is June 4th.
At what time?
11 until 1 p.m.
And where is it at?
School 99.
Okay. And so there's some miscommunication here, because if you are in the schools or if you go out to the schools, everybody, the first place that someone wants to take me is to their WAS Ed showcase. Okay. There's schools that principals are telling me everything. I even have a principal who wants to raise money to buy even more kits. If this WAS Ed is put in place properly, our kids will learn how to code. Okay, in kindergarten, they're learning how to code. Okay, by the time they graduate, they should either be able, if we do this right, have a certification to fly drones, part of the FCC curriculum, or in addition to that, cybersecurity. So we don't know where this is going at this point, but hearsay, okay, it's just a matter of a phone call to a principal. If the superintendent says that it's mandated for everyone in this district to do something, I want to know what principal feels that it's not okay to do it, because that's a major issue. If we cannot make sure equity occurs, this is one of the reasons that this came about is because I saw little suburban kids working on GoBots, and our kids didn't have anything like that, okay? And that's how it ended up evolving into this situation, okay? And we are leading the pack. Last year, WAS Ed said to his staff, Steve Wozniak, make sure Buffalo's WAS Ed program is a success by any means necessary. Make sure that program, and they put their money where their mouth is. How much other money is being spent in this district that you can't even see, tangibly even see it? Overtime, upwards from higher. All sorts of programs that we don't even get any results from, after school program. But if you watch it, WAS Ed, ask what the principals are saying. The kids are so energetic. They're coming to school. They're behaving because they want to make sure they're part of the lab. They are saying their vocabulary has expounded exponentially. You're right. I mean, you see fifth graders talking about things that we only talked about in high school, projections, longitude, all sorts of things. So what we have to understand is that there's always people talking. There's always people talking. At the end of the day, this is a superintendent initiative. This is a board initiative. Whether you like the fact it came through me or not, okay, it came for our children to benefit them as a result of me seeing no minorities or children of diversity in the hospitals or in areas that our people are not at. Cybersecurity last year was a fight. We had a free camp last year, and I had to fight to get a free camp for our children last year. Okay, a free camp. was a fight. Why? Because of the mentality that principals think that they can control what's going on in the district. When the superintendent approves it, it should be done. Okay, it's not optional that something is sitting in a box. Because guess what? I have a guy over at International Prep who had no training. He did it on his own. Then he got a chance to take the training. Okay, not only is he the one who sent our 2 experiments to space, okay, he's also the one that is worried about next year because he's only certified as a special ed teacher, that WISE Ed cannot grow in his district because we don't have other certified ed teachers in the building. So we got a lot of other issues, but this is not one of them. We're doing great in this program, irregardless of what. If we need to continue, and I'm personally looking to find funds for this, part of my conversation with Jim the other day about trying to find some funds to sustain this.
Just real quick, I think it's an easy fix. The superintendent gets a report from principals, maybe do a survey to teachers to see what the usage is, and then we just look at that. And then if there is problems, it's easy.
Hearsay. Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Yes, I'm truly and pleased about to hear about the great reports for WISED. This board unanimously approved the WISED program was brought to us, and we just wanted to see the results from the WISED. Now, just being fiduciarily responsible, and I do hear reports that it wasn't being used and that the materials were sitting in boxes inside of closets. I look at the asking price right now of $3 million, for this program. The information I did hear may have been timed at the beginning of the school year towards the middle, where principals didn't know whether or not they can use the program or if they actually can fit into a schedule. So those are my concerns. That's the reason why I asked today if we can see a report. I kindly asked to see a report on WISED, how it's being utilized in our district. I love the magazine that you gave us last month. I read through the magazine. I just love the things. I'm a science geek. I love science things. I like to see things fly and build things. I'm the biggest supporter of this. But I just want to make sure that today we spend our money wisely. If this is going to be the course of expenditure for $3 million a year, just to make sure that this equity is involved, that all children and all programs is using it. So those are just my concerns.
Sure.
It's just like when we was talking about leasing vehicles, and I realized that I did some homework and realized we could save about $400,000 if we purchased the vehicles and used the maintenance warranties on that. So this district did follow suit in that, and thank you, Mr. Barnes, in purchasing the vehicles that we use. So we actually found money. So I'm just looking for cost-saving ways that we can utilize money. And Jennifer did have a good idea when she mentioned the possibilities of bringing the program to the schools that's actually using it and see what we can do about saving money in another way. So I'm just looking at ways we can save money or way we can, that way, or either promote the program so that we make sure that it's equitable for all students.
Right.
Thank you.
So we'll do a survey to principals to find out, if there are some schools that need more training in order to use it, or if the scheduling was an issue. But my phone has been blowing up. Principals are watching, and they're saying that, please tell them to come to my school because I love WISED and the teachers love it. So we will do the survey and see, if there are, and it's possible. We got 60 schools. It's possible that there is a school or two that, for whatever the reason, hasn't used it. But for those watching, I do want to say it is my expectation that we spent a lot of money on the program, and the program will only be as good as the materials that are used. We've trained teachers on it. It's a heavy lift because we went K to 12 for the whole district, and it's new. So I do understand that this year was kind of trial and error, but it is my expectation that when we spend that kind of money, that we are utilizing the program.
I'm sorry. Are all teachers volunteer for this program, or are they're being paid to
It's a
teach
part of
the
the school
program?
day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of their day.
And
Okay,
it's
thank you.
easily entwined in the schedule, I'm being told. Okay, with that, if all questions are answered with that subject, I have down here 18LL, Cindy McCutcheon. Do you have something on here? Is this you? You didn't put this on here? Okay, thank you. Okay, I was like, what's that about? Okay, do we have any other questions, comments, or whatever? I think everything is clear, right? Okay, thank you. Moving forward, Mary, can you poll our board? Oh. Oh, do you want a separate discussion? Yes, the budget is in here. It is part. Do you want to have a conversation? It's number 24A. Do you want to have a separate discussion on the budget? Right, this is the time. That's what the consent agenda is, 24A. Do you want to ask any questions on the budget? (24A) is up, the budget. Mr. Barnes, can you come to do you have a question? Okay.
Mr. Barnes, I realize it's been an extremely long day for many of us, especially you, and I appreciate that. And I just want to reiterate part of our discussions today. And Superintendent, in my discussions today, I feel confident that if there are some concerns, specific concerns, there is some money that we may be able to fund some things. Some things, not all things. Not all, but there will be that opportunity. And because I am hearing from some of the schools that are having a bounce up in E&L students, and they're wondering, how that's going to be addressed. I've heard today from someone who is concerned because their social worker number doesn't match the amount of social work, counseling, things in IEPs. So we have some things that are unfinished business, and so I'm reluctant to vote on something till I know that isn't all hammered out for those specific things. But I did have a conversation with both of you several times today, and that is what my big concern was, that there would be some more discussion, and it wasn't totally no more discussion.
Cindy, did you have, you're pulling the mic for a reason or no?
I was just picking it up to state that I know that there has been a lot of conversation today, and I want to thank everybody for their willingness to open up the dialogue, have the conversation, and I think that there is opportunity for further conversation, and we've all agreed upon that, and a possibility of looking at the process going into next year. I think there just might have been maybe some confusion about the way the process was rolling itself out. And so, thank you. I am excited about additional conversation, and Terry, thank you for bringing some things to my attention and conversation that I think we'll continue to have. Outside of that, it is my hope that we will be able to move this forward today.
Okay.
Yes. Board Member Woods.
I want to commend the superintendent and our CFO for the extensive hours and time that they've taken to reach out to staff, principals, parents, students, and the board, and meet with the board to ask their concerns over the budget. I want to commend them for closing a $90 million gap and doing it in a way that did not lay off 300 staff that no longer had funding from Mark Etzer. They worked tirelessly, even expanding to 2 years so that we didn't have a huge cliff that we fell off and had to lay off a large number of staff. So when we look at this budget, I just want everybody to recognize that I've been here 7 years, and I've never had a superintendent take the kind of time and effort to work so hard to get over and solve a very difficult situation. I think we need to give recognition and applause to our superintendent and our CFO.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Thank you.
So I just want to say that one of the concerns always is equity in any budget that we do. And in having a conversation today with Cindy, we talked about looking at a new budget process for next year and start working on it as soon as possible, Madam Superintendent, to start focusing in on equity and tie into what we're doing with the Council of Great City Schools work, where we start looking at student outcome data to drive decisions, aligning with that, okay? And so in trying to make sure that we fix this problem that you have to do an equity overlay on a budget when we already know the needs of the children are already great. And somehow or another, that has to be the priority in this district. You know, I advocate, I'm very concerned about certain things that are in the budget, only because when I look at math numbers, and I see one of the choices that was selected was to get rid of a math supervisor, but then it was said, well, we didn't fill the position anyway, so it's one of the positions that were vacant. But that doesn't mean anything to me when I'm not getting the results that we need for math, okay? And so I started looking at the choices that were being made, and every time it came back to equity. You know, how do we guarantee that our children are getting what they need to lift them up and move them to the next level? As I shared with you earlier, I have a teacher who's great in science, okay? But he never gets selected to do anything because he's labeled as a special ed certified teacher, okay? Didn't matter that he sent 2 experiments to space, okay? It doesn't matter that he took DOAZ Ed and the special ed children went crazy over it, the things that they were able to do with it. None of that matters because he's the only teacher in the building that's certified certified as a special ed in his area he is. So now the principal is looking at him and about pulling him away from something that, you know, he enjoys doing. So we've got to look at a lot of things, but the key focus here is to make sure that the children, our students, receive what they need to be a success. Other than that, and to drive student outcomes, no excuses. We need student outcomes. We're not going to continue to pay hefty. We're not going to continue to pay the prices that we're paying to keep people seats and boots and feet on the ground, and we don't get our numbers delivered. So we're working with it. We have a superintendent that's receptive to it. It took us upwards of almost 10 years to get to this point, and we're grateful to her for tolerating us during this process because it's not easy. But for whatever reason, there is a tendency not to focus on equity in this district. It has to stop. We have to make sure that all children are elevated and they get to the next level, and no excuses. So I have some questions. I have some questions about the title positions that are not in this budget, that are not being cut out of this budget. I'm not going to get off of certain things because I know certain things, and I'm going to continue to ask the questions. Okay, it's time out for people covering their friends and families We need to trim this budget next year even more. And the people who are not doing the results, that includes everyone in this district who are not producing, we have to have a system in place to make sure that they are producing. No more spending $1 billion and not getting results. The party's over. That's the truth. It really is. So thank you so much for the work that you have done, and you're going to do. But at the end of the day, without student outcomes, all of this is a joke. We are not an employment agency. We are a system that is set up to make sure that students have successful outcomes. And until we get to that point, everybody ought to be nervous, including me, because that's the stuff that I wake up at night thinking about. One more kid not making it through this system and what it's going to mean to their life if they're not successful. That's the stuff that bothers me. When I drive down the street and I see kids standing on the corners or old men pushing their walkers or whatever, it all boils down to education, and we need to fix it moving forward. So I appreciate all the work you do, but you guys know who I am, and you know I'm going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to keep it moving. But I'm not going to continue to spend $1 billion and not get student outcomes. It's over. It's over. So everybody's on notice. Okay, thank you.
So to follow up, I do want to say that, you know, this was a very difficult process. It really was. And it's a process that we started in September. We've been working on this since September. And I do want to give kudos to our Chief Financial Officer who, you know, he's down there working on Sundays. He's down there on the weekends. He's there late. You didn't know at the last committee meeting he was so sick. I wanted to send him home, but he was there. And his small team, you know, that's here tonight that, you know, has left no stone unturned, looking in grants to see, you know, when we met with the board members and they said, we need to see this or that, and I told them, I got to see this or that, they went back and found ways out of no way for us to give what was asked for. And, you know, our associates of school leadership that worked so hard with these principals, and our principals who thought out of the box came up with solutions that I had not even dreamed of on how they could keep resources for their children, because it's not really about keeping a person. You know, they're bumping rights. It's about the positions. It's about the positions that are needed to move our students forward. And so I give kudos to our associates of school leadership, to our principals, to our SBMTs, to this body, these chiefs and associates that sat, you know, looking over and over and over budgets to see how could we squeeze out one more. There are other districts, you know, everybody across the nation is facing this cliff. But Buffalo, because we're one of the big five, it was real big for us, real big. And we were looking at upwards of 300 layoffs. And I don't want to see anybody laid off, but to come out of it with 7,000 plus staff and to have possibly 30, we did a lot of work. And you all did a lot of work. So thank you. Thank you. This was the most difficult budget. We kept all of the priorities that you asked us to keep, every single one. Reading teachers, community partners, music teachers, security, guidance counselors, psychologists, assistant principals, social workers, WASED, and the list goes on and on. Athletics, we kept it. We made sure. Orchestra camp. You know, I answered every single email concern that I got, and I got a lot of them. I took this serious because I do believe that how you spend your money is where your priorities are. So I just want to thank everybody. This really was all of us in this. We worked to be as inclusive. Jim presented at every single committee, at the committee meeting every single month. Every single month. You know, I went out and met with students because I wanted to make sure that these priorities that the board was sharing with me were their priorities too. And what I heard from our students is safety, social emotional needs. They even mentioned some partners that we had to keep in schools. I heard them. So this was an inclusive process. Can we get better? Yes. 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 But are we better than we were? Yes. So we keep getting better. We keep refining. I want to thank everybody for all of your support and inclusiveness in this. This was a really hard process, but we got through. So thank you.
If you don't mind, Super, thank you for your leadership throughout this. And a few of my staff who you don't hear their names, Charles Salvamosa, he's a senior budget examiner. He really puts the whole budget book together and meets with every department, every cabinet member, and did all that scouring and database work. The database work was considerable and difficult this year with the end of our ESSER and shifting in the general fund. Danielle Schwanekamp, head of our grants, on top of $130 million in regular grants, she shepherded $290 million in our ESSER, which we're closing out, fully spent. And she played a pivotal role in avoiding those layoffs and finding money in grants for certain people. And then Maria Wood, who heads up our school-based budget process. And those are equity-based formulas, maybe not perfect. We know we need to update and or revise them, but she did a phenomenal job. There's a couple of other members who are missing tonight, Cara Finelli, Rachel Keller, and the rest of the department, but these guys are the key. Thank you.
And what about you, fearless leader, Mr. Jim Barnes?
Yeah, I'm glad it's over, but it was a challenge. It was a challenge, so it was exciting. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Yeah.
You kept a smile on your face, even for me when I came in here. You know what he said? Miss Cotton, I said, why are you smiling, Jim? He said, because I got my staff with me today, Miss Cotton. I figured you'd be nice to me.
That's right. You're always nicer when I bring a crowd.
Yeah, you're strong. You
Thank
can
you,
handle
guys.
it. Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions about the budget? Okay, with that said, okay, can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? So move, Cindy, Paulette, all in favor? What'd I do?
You want me to poll it, the board? Okay. Vice President Evans Brown? No exceptions. Board Member Hurd?
Sessions.
Board Member McKecken? Board Member Makosi? Board Member Shuta? And other than that? All right, thank you. Vice President Scott? Board Member Woods?
No exception.
And Board President Belton Cottman?
No exception.
Thank you. And the consent agenda passes.
Thank you. All right. Okay, fantastic. Any under unfinished business, board, I'd like to talk about the survey that we are trying to still get people. I had did the math. We have 9 board members. Each board member, if you can come or figure out a way to get 100 people to fill out a survey, that's 900, okay? If Dr. Williams, you will help us with the principals to get the survey out. Board Member McKetchin, did you write do anything with not at this point? Okay, so if we can get that out, I really would like to see that we get at least 3,000, hopefully. It's high, but we want to try. We've never done 3,000 in a survey. But that's not even 10%. I don't know the number at this point. It's not very high. It's not high at all. It's not high. Yeah, so what we'll do is I've talked to IT, I asked them to put it out more, talked to Juliana, I asked her to do more on her part. I'm asking the superintendent, I'm asking everyone that is in a cabinet member to have their friends and families. If you want to make sure that this board set goals, values of the community and vision of the community in a correct way, this survey is going to determine the work that you will be doing in the future. So it's really important. Does any other board member have anything to share? Okay. Without further ado, would you do our bereavements, Vice President Dr. Evans Brown?
Yes, please stand. To bereavements, May 15, 2024. April 14, Alfred Ganuso, father of Paul Ganuso, gym teacher at Stanley Mikowski School number 99. April 15, Deborah Delaverne, a retired teacher assistant with the BPS. April 20th, Mary Mason, grandmother of Ashley Young, Director of Elementary and Early Childhood Education. April 27th, Mary Alice Felucci, retired mailroom clerk, mother of Lillian Felucci, a teaching assistant at school number 45. April 28th, Noreen Buckley, retired public schools, Buffalo Public Schools teacher. May 2nd, John Suola, sorry if I mispronounced that, father of Michael Suola, principal of the school, 19. May 2nd, Tina Celeste, retired BPS teacher aide. May 9th, Catherine Dar, retired BPS school teacher. May 10th, Tamika Ferguson, worked as an aide and currently was a typist for the district. May 20th, I don't have the specific date, but it was in May, Irene Smith, mother of Troy Smith, a teacher assistant at school number 42, and mother-in-law of Laura Smith, special ed teacher at school number 64. Lastly, Jalen Griffin, a beloved Buffalo Public School student, tragically deceased. May we bow in a moment of silence. For these souls. Amen.
May I have a motion to conclude the meeting? I see Cindy and Jennifer. Thank you.